Hello, good evening, and welcome to myself, Mr. Sensible, and Conspiracy Catz.
How are we all doing? Mr. Sensible, how are you?
I'm super
And it's a
fine.
pleasure to be on your channel.
And it's a pleasure to be on your channel at the same time.
Yeah, and if people don't know, this is a simulcast. So we're hoping for a lot of exchange between the two chats. And I've linked Mr. Sensible's channel in the description. And if you want to click on that and go over to his chat, you should be still watching the same show, and hopefully, we make it a little bit more engaging. Have I got that right?
You have indeed, but there's a bit of a delay because I reckon my channel's running about 30 seconds slower than you. I guess because I've got less subscribers.
I think with our combined subscriber numbers, I think we have about 6 million watching. So
I reckon so.
No pressure.
I reckon so. That's good stuff. Good stuff. We got some interesting stuff for them tonight, Cats.
You know what we have, and I'm really looking forward to this. Yes, I certainly am. So should we just begin with why we are here?
Yeah, sure. So what are we showing them first?
Well, I'm going to bring up comment one, and you're going to have to put up with this for a little bit because we're going to have to shout each other out when to bring comments up. But this is why I am here tonight with Mr. Sensible. Now, what I don't want this to look like is a personal attack on the person who's wrote this comment, because it really isn't. There's nothing personal about what I'm going to say against anybody tonight. But I clicked on a video it was a video I made about quantum eraser. And I saw this man, Flawed Observer, spamming my comment section with this typical flat earth comment, calling me a liar, telling me that I don't know what I'm talking about, I'm being deliberately deceitful, blah, 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 blah. And, to be honest, I kind of got a little bit tired of that. What do you think of that comment, Mr. Sensible?
Lying teachers need to go away. That's not very nice, is it? What do you think gravity is again? Don't you know what gravity is, Cat? Surely you know.
Well, you see, the thing that got me, obviously I invented it. The thing that got me about that comment is that when I actually spoke to this person, and I'm going to put comment 2 on. Okay, so I actually replied to this guy. Let me drag that to the top. I actually replied to this guy and I said to him, "Can you tell me what these lies are, these specific lies?" And of course he couldn't, because when you get flat earthers that come in your chat and they call you a liar, they call you a shill, this, that, and the other way. And that made me think that, this guy is a victim. I don't mean that in a nasty way, and I don't want anybody, going to his channel and spam him or anything like that. He is a victim of the type of nonsense that Quantum Eraser and Nathan Oakley and the whole flat Earth debate debacle come out with. In my discussions with him, over and over, he would just come out with exactly the same sort of comments that Nathan Oakley would come out with, the same comments that Quantum Eraser would. And I actually, I felt sorry for him. So that is why I'm here at tonight's stream. So we can show people like Flawed Observer exactly what the heroes, the idols, the Quantum Erasers are all about. And I'm really happy you've come to help me do this, mate.
Well, I came for the cheese. You have brought cheese, I hope.
Nothing but. I'm just going to say hello to a couple of people in the chat, my chat. Let you do the same.
Yeah.
Team Skeptic, Cy Strickland, first two I've just seen. Cy Strickland, I was on her channel today, did an interview with her, really enjoyed that. Team Skeptic was brilliant, absolutely brilliant in a debate we did on Wednesday, as was his opponent, Eric Kerr. So if you're not seen that, check that out. He was fantastic. Anybody you want to point out there, Mr. Sensible?
Well, I've got some patrons are in now. It's the Edwulf Sledgeferter. Easy for me to say because I've had a lot of practice. Gary Isle of Wight, Brainless Steel NL, loads of my usuals, Ugly German Truce, who has been following me and commenting on my chat right since the beginning. And I hope the sound's improved because now I've got my headphones on. I realised I was playing sound through my stereo. That was my cook-up for the night. I always do one, Cats, always.
Oh, well, any kind of live streaming with me involved is going to be a catalogue of errors because I have no idea what I'm doing. Who else? We've got Old Crafty Keeler, we've got there Tommy Gronvold. I mean, I'm not going to, there's a few hundred watching, so I'm not going to read through the entire chat, but I do appreciate everyone being here. But and we've got Mr. Cool Cat.
Yeah, we got my cat, which is Arnold, Slayer of Flirts. He helps me bash flirts from time to time. He appears on video. He's my boy. And he'll go back to sleep now.
Funnily enough.
Sorry, what was that? I think you broke up a little.
I'll just... oh, he's back. You just froze on my end there a little.
Oh, you did for me too.
So we'll raise the stuff in a second. If anybody missed a look, check him out, subscribe to him. I'm a big fan of Mr. Sensibles.
And
But
if there is any one person on my channel that's not yet subscribed to Catz, why? Do it now, please.
Well, here we go. So we saw the comment. The scene was set. I felt sorry for this guy and hundreds like him who comment on my channel every month. And I thought, what can I do to show them that quantum eraser is an idiot ding? Okay. Well, this all came about before I started being Conspiracy Catz. I was a teacher, and I had I still am, but I had a teacher's YouTube channel, and on that teacher's YouTube channel, I made a video where I talked about the impossibility of gravity being substituted by density. It wasn't possible, and at that time, I got speaking to Sleeping Warrior because I wanted to do something with a flat earther to engage the kids I taught in the classroom, so I could show them a video and the kids could pull it apart and we could learn science in a novel sort of context. Sleeping Warrior, Quantum Eraser got hold of that video not so long ago, and he put it up as Conspiracy Catz toe tagged, which I thought was pretty dishonest because I was a teacher at the time, and they knew I was doing this for kids, and Conspiracy Catz didn't exist. So you've seen the video, Mr. Sensible, and that's what we're going to go through. What do you think?
Sounds good to me. So which video? We're going for the main video, are we?
Well, let's set the backdrop. The idea was this. I'm going to play the daughter clip. All right. So if you can get that lined up for a second. I've got a little clip here that I recorded with my daughter this afternoon. And when I went onto Quantum Eraser's channel, Nathan Oakley's channel, all I wanted to do was describe this very simple experiment here, which would show that gravity could not be explained by density. All right. So this afternoon, to show you how simple it is, I sat down with my daughter and we had this little discussion. Okay. I'm going to play this discussion in about 10 seconds. All right. All we've got are two ice cubes hanging off some Newton meters, and we've changed the mass of one ice cube. And we're going to talk about the variables. Okay. Are you ready, Mr. Sensible?
I'm ready. Let's go for it.
3, 2, 1, go. Right. So before we start this, just could you tell me what is an independent variable?
The thing that you've changed.
All right. So in this experiment here, what am I changing from the left to the right?
You're changing the mass.
The mass of what?
The ice cubes.
Okay. What's my dependent variable?
The reading on the Newton meter.
Okay, so that's the reading on the Newton meter is going to depend on the mass of the cubes, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. What am I doing to make it a fair test? What's the other variable?
Control variable.
So what is my control variable? What am I doing to keep it a fair test?
You're keeping it the same object.
Right. Would you say the density of the ice cubes has changed, or would you say the density is the same in both ice cubes?
It's the same.
Because it's the same material. So, to cut a long story short, my independent variable is the mass, my dependent variable is a reading on the Newton meter, and the density is controlled in both. Yes or no? Do you agree?
Yeah.
Can you see any problem with what I've said?
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Would you believe it if I told you there's somebody out there that couldn't understand that?
Yes.
You would? You don't want to do this, do you?
No.
Goodbye.
Oh, fabulous. Fabulous.
Right. Yeah, there we go. So, fairly simple to understand, would you say, Mr. Sensible?
I'm well impressed with your daughter. Really am. Can I ask how old she is?
She's year 7, so that makes her 12. And she wasn't impressed because she had no idea why we were doing this. We've been homeschooling, and I think she thought we were holding like a Saturday session, so she really wasn't impressed when I asked her to come and talk about variables. She wasn't. But just to boil it down, Quantum Eraser at the time had been talking with Sleeping Warrior and doing his shows about eggs floating up and down or whatever, and claiming that density was the explanation for gravity. That's what the claim was that they were making. So this little explanation here, all I wanted to do was go on Nathan's panel and say, look, if I change the mass of the ice cube, the density is the same. I've controlled the density. It's not changed, but the mass has, and therefore the spring inside this Newton meter is being pulled further down. There's a bigger force on that Newton meter, so therefore a bigger force is created by changing the mass, not the density. All right.
Did you see my experiment the other way round when I had 2 bags on a balance with equal amounts of grated cheese, and then I crushed one bag so it was one solid, dense mass, and lo and behold, they still balanced.
It's amazing, isn't it?
I know.
But the thing is, like, so go on.
I was going to say, and yet Riley doesn't get it.
Like, I mean, the sad thing is, me and you are, are grown men in our, mid 20s, and we are sat here having to explain this to, we're having to explain this to what? To like a 50-year-old man, that
Who's
this
slightly overweight.
Well, so am I, so I won't go there. But it's very, very odd. So I went on to Quantum Erasers show with Nathan Oakley, and because I went on in the guise of a teacher, and I wasn't Conspiracy Catz, this was a long, long time ago, and I knew the kids would be watching this video, I was ultra polite, I was ultra nice, and I let them get away with a whole load of crap that I wouldn't let them get away with now.
You did say Nathan Oakley's show.
It was Nathan Oakley's show with Quantum Eraser on, but Quantum Eraser's taken this and used it to toe tag me.
Have you heard that Nathan Oakley's running around organising protest marches? Because apparently black swans matter. Sorry.
Love it. Well,
anyway, I interrupted you, sir.
That reminds me, just while we're doing this, we're going to have a little competition between my chat and Mr. Sensibles. I'm going to put the question out, why did the flat earth across the road? And I'm going to pick out the funniest punchline from my chat, and you pick out the funniest from yours, and we'll see who wins.
We can certainly do that, but I've got about a 20-second delay on my chat, which means you'll have to give your answers first.
No problem. Oh, and also, when it comes to taking questions, if you want to ask me a question, just to make it a pain in the neck, go to Mr. Sensible's channel and ask it through him. And if you want to ask Mr. Sensible's channel, come to mine, tag me in it, and start a question, and I'll ask him. Right. So here's the video.
Right.
I'm gonna put it on here.
It's the main video,
okay.
Yeah?
This is the main video. It's not quite playing yet. Anyone recognise? Do you recognise that?
Let's get back
you
to
can't
the
see my screen.
Part.
Anyone in the chat recognise that
I
furry little fellow?
Sure
It's Crafty
the
Keeler's sheep. We got to name it. Do you remember what ours was named, Mr. Sensible?
I believe yours might be named Space Comma.
But this is genuinely Space Comma the sheep, one of the debunked duo sheep, and yours was.
I hate to tell you this, Cats, but they're goats.
I knew that. I got sheep on the brain today. God,
What have you been talking to Creaky again?
Cows, sheep, cats, all the same. Stuff it. Yeah, even Crafty Keel is in the description. Crafty Keel, I've linked her channel in the description. She's got a great channel, and the debunked duo goats, not sheep, they can be found there. So go and have a click. Have you got the video?
I've got the video ready to roll. Yeah, but did Keela tell you that she actually started her channel during one of my live streams? I persuaded her, and by the end of the live stream, I think she had her first 15 subscribers.
Yeah, that's good going.
Not bad at all, is it?
No, I didn't know that story. That's excellent. So when she's a multimillionaire with millions of subscribers,
oh yeah, I've made sure she won't forget me. So
right. So I'm going to start playing the video. We're only on till 9 o'clock. It's not going to be a long stream, and we're going to walk through the toe tag that I got from this guy.
Oh, we're ready to go. Okay.
Oh, sorry, no, I've not gone. I've just put his little song on. Sorry, I forgot you didn't have that. Right.
Tell me when you're ready to go with the video.
Okay, so I'm going to press play. We've already chopped it up into little bits because we're having to stop and start it independently in our own thing. So I went on. Quantum Eraser was aware of this little idea that you have something of the same density but different masses, and they will produce a different effect. So therefore, density is not responsible for the force pulling down the spring. So I went on there, and this is my experience of trying to explain it to him, and him. Well, you'll hear. So we start by talking about the prediction. The prediction will be the bigger the mass, the bigger the force on the Newton meter, because the bigger the force on the spring inside. I'm going to press play. You ready, sir?
I am indeed. 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Part. I want to make sure that we're on the same sheet of music with this prediction, because everyone uses this word. They equivocate fallacy out of their mind. A scientific prediction is a very specific thing. Are we in agreement?
Sure.
A scientific prediction is a hypothesis. So if you don't have a hypothesis, with a viable independent and dependent variable, then you don't have a scientific prediction.
But I would argue that, you know, if, in the example of, you know, force, I would argue that my independent variable would be the mass of the object I'm going to drop. My dependent variable would be the force that it hits the ground with, for example, or the force exerted on the Newton meter when I let go. You know, that's a very clear independent dependent variable.
No, it's not. Do we want to go through this?
Okay. Where do we start with that? So let's just recap. So Mr. Sensible, I've got the picture up on my screen now of the ice cubes and the thing.
Oh, right. Well, that's in a video, isn't it? This is where it's all going to get confusing for me.
It's all right. So we're talking about the prediction. The bigger the mass of the ice cubes, right, the bigger the force measured on the Newton meter. So the independent variable is the mass. The dependent variable is the measurement on the Newton meter, how much that spring is stretched inside. What's difficult to understand about that?
Not a lot, really. I mean, it's hard to dumb something like that down anymore, isn't it?
Yeah. Now, the thing that I want to point out to our friend Flawed Observer at the beginning is that when you present something really simple like this to quantum eraser, the reason that they never seem to you to be debunked or beaten or shown up is because they never ever have a proper sensible conversation. They will try and divert the conversation away in a million different tangents, a million different places, get away from those simple and easy point, you know, as quickly as they can, to drag the conversation out for 10, 15 minutes and then make it go nowhere. And you're about to see Quantum Eraser do that to a very inexperienced pre-conspiracy me. All right? So...
Was Baldy Catz not around to help you?
He's a...
Because I was actually wondering, does he live in the kitchen? I think the only times I've ever seen him is in your kitchen.
Yeah, well, I've got him chained up in the basement most of the time, to be honest.
Would that be with Daniel Pratt?
Right, so I've got some notes here. Let's begin. He's now going to walk me through. He's now going to try and walk me through how to do a scientific prediction. So let's carry on with his incompetence.
So, what is the natural phenomena that you observed?
The natural phenomenon is that let's just say a mass will move towards the Earth.
A mass. Now, how do you know mass? Can you see mass?
I can measure mass.
You can measure mass.
Mm-hmm.
How about just things fall to the ground? How about that, so we don't get bogged down here? Your observed phenomenon.
In what I've cut it down from 20 minutes, in what should be a very, 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 simple start, straight away, we can't even establish, the phenomenon we see is we drop a mass and it falls to the ground. I mean, have you dealt with quantum eraser?
To be honest, no, because, mostly because I'm not sure if my Word documents will go up to font sizes that large in red and blue. But other than, actually, I genuinely find him pretty boring bloke. It's all scripted. I did see an episode recently. I'm not sure who he was talking to, but they raised something else. So he scrolled down his Word document and he had some pre-prepared thing there. He's just cutting and pasting onto the stream, basically. He's reading crap out.
Yeah, he has it doesn't matter what you want to say. He's got a PowerPoint. He's going to read it. And I hope Flawed Observer is watching this, because I've shown it at the beginning of this stream that my 12-year-old daughter can understand in 20 seconds what we're trying to talk about. And Quantum Eraser immediately seems to be struggling with such a basic idea. So, I mean, what's he saying? What is mass? Can you measure mass? Anyway, let's crack on. Let's see what else he says.
Oh, right, okay.
Oh, sorry. Can I say Jake Street? Thank you very much for that. I really appreciate it. So let's mosey on to the next one. Oh, are you ready yet, Mr.
I'm ready now. Yeah.
Let's go.
Your observed phenomenon is your dependent variable.
Right. So our observed phenomenon. I've got his graphic up on my screen here. The observed phenomenon is our dependent variable. Would you necessarily agree with that in this instance, do you think?
Sorry, say it again. Observed phenomenon is our dependent variable.
Yeah. So in the context of the experiment we're talking about, would you agree that our observed phenomenon is the dependent variable? So the observed phenomenon is that things fall to the ground. So we said.
And well, it depends exactly what you're looking for, what phenomenon you're because there's another observed phenomenon which will be a bang as it hits the ground. I mean, there's several. What phenomenon are we looking for? What
exactly?
Yeah,
exactly. We've said, and so straight away, we've taken something very, very simple. We've identified the independent and dependent variables. We've identified the independent as being the mass of the ice cube, and the dependent being the measurement on the spring balance. And rather than move on with the conversation from there, rather than actually be honest and talk about how that might show that density isn't affecting the force, he wants to wind back to talk about nonsense, just nonsensical things. Yeah. Anyway, let's crack on.
Well, just before we do, I've got I actually got a problem with my OBS, so I don't get the proper alerts about super chats, and I have had a couple of super chats I'd just like to briefly read out. B-Ball for Life super chatted $2 US saying because the ice wall was blocking the other side, and Elon Musk super chatted £4.99 says, has CC got a hat on because he's worried about his hair, that his hair doesn't look as good as yours?
That's true.
I must admit, I do like what you've done with your hair tonight.
Oh, thank you. Well, it surprisingly didn't take as long as you might think.
Oh, and sorry, I do apologise. One other that's there, Digital Demonic Davros, $2 Australian, #Big Pharma will do you for sheep shaming. You're going to be in trouble. As if Keeley being after you won't be enough.
Well, sheep shaming, I can do. I thought you were going to say something else there. But yes. Sheep shaming, good. Thanks to Crafty.
And one has literally just come in. Eric Hare, $5 US, saying, love you both. Great stuff. Thank you, Eric. And thank you, the others who super chatted.
And Eric Kerr was brilliant on the debate the other night against Team Scat. They were both superb. Crafty Keeler, thank you very, very much. Still close. Yes, has made a brilliant point there. Technically, with that balance, it's a Newton balance. We are measuring weight, not mass. But that is the point that we're trying to make here. We're trying to make the point that when you get a bigger ice cube, there is more mass on that ice cube, but the density stays the same. And when we hang it on something that measures weight or a force, we can detect a bigger force on that Newton balance. And the only thing we're changing is the mass. We're not changing the density of the ice cube. Okay, so that's kind of the point we're making there. Thank you, Peter Fitzgerald, as well. Erode, isn't that just bubbles of in water? Brilliant. So I forgot to read out, actually. So that was awful of me, wasn't it? Crafty Keeler says, QE's going to come and visit us. Okay, so how badly can Quantum Eraser misunderstand this very, very simple experiment? And for those who've only just turned up, let's just run through it one more time. I'm going to get that image on the screen. So, where are we?
Sorry, on my stream, you're not seeing that image.
So the experiment that Quantum Eraser is talking about is this one. We have two blocks of ice. We are going to have one with a bigger mass, one with a smaller mass. We're going to put them on a Newton meter, which has a spring inside. A force will be exerted on that spring, right? Measuring the weight, if you like. And we're going to see that there's a bigger force here than there is here, even though the density of the ice cube is the same. Therefore, showing that density isn't the cause for things. Density difference isn't the cause for things appearing to fall. There has to be something else involved. All right, fairly simple. So far, he's making an absolute sham of it. Should we get back and press play?
Ready? The transition over, and okay, I'm good to go.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
I wouldn't say that the object's accelerate is a dependent variable. I would say that the rate of acceleration, or not the rate of acceleration, the force that they accelerate with is a dependent variable.
You can't do that. You're begging the question.
frustrating dealing with him, isn't it? Like, what is it that's so complicated about this very simple thing that my 12-year-old daughter can understand?
I don't know. I think they've got to do anything to try and debunk gravity. I really do. I mean, sorry, have you lost me?
Let's see. You're back.
And you're back too. That's good. I was just saying that I think that they've got to do anything they can to try and debunk gravity. They're having to deny the absolute bleeding obvious. Stuff goes down.
I mean,
it depends on the mass. I mean, density is not a vector, as we all know.
Exactly. If you're so scientifically illiterate that you can't understand the idea that a force is needed to stretch a spring,
yep,
and if a larger mass will stretch a spring more, then that larger mass is applying a bigger force on that spring, right? And that's essentially what a Newton meter is. It's just got a spring inside, isn't it, that stretches, and I mean, I'm absolutely blown away. And we have people like, let's get his comment up again, this guy, Ford Observer here, who's spamming my chat and spamming my channel with this nonsense, defending Quantum Eraser, and calling me a liar, when Quantum Eraser clearly doesn't even know how to tie his own shoelaces, I'd imagine.
Well, actually, Katz, I have an opportunity for you here. If you were able to ask a flat earther any question for them to give you an answer to persuade you either that the Earth is flat or that the Earth is not a globe, one of those, what question would you ask? Let's say Mr. Nathan Oakley, if you're going to ask Nathan that question, his golden opportunity to answer a question for you that will prove it. What would prove it to you?
Well, if it was Nathan Oakley, it would be if he can prove to me that the Rayleigh criterion says things should be cut from the bottom up, and that's how perspective works. That would be it.
That would be it. Okay, but of course he never usually comes out of his room, does he? With his mute button.
No,
well,
not at all.
I've got a special treat for you tonight. Nathan Oakley has decided to come out of his room. Nathan Oakley is here, ready to answer your question. Okay, let me get at Nathan. Are you ready to come on, Nathan? No, don't be shy, Nathan. Don't be shy. Look, I'm going to have to just grab him just a second.
Okay.
Now, Nathan, are you going to come? Are you going to come on the stream and answer Katz's question? Come on, tell us about the Rayleigh criterion. Are you chicken? I just don't think that he's going to do it. Oh, he likes the microphone. Oh, off you go, Nathan.
Brilliant.
I have a chicken on my desk. Sorry, moving on. Oh, bye, Nathan. Yeah, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out.
That is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I'd just say a massive thank you to Paul Fergie. Enjoying the show, keep it good. Well, thank you. I don't do a lot of the live streaming because I don't know what I'm doing and I'm useless, but hopefully I will get there with it. But you're quite a seasoned live streamer, aren't you?
Who me?
Yeah,
but not with chickens. Never work with chickens. They crap on your desk. That's the last time Nathan's coming on my show.
Now, back to Quantum Eraser. All right, so he's just told me that I can't use the term force, even though a 2-year-old child would understand that to stretch a spring, you've got to apply a force on it. All right?
Would you be thinking of Mr. George Musser by any chance?
Oh, he gets brought up later on. He absolutely gets brought up later on. So I do try and put Quantum Eraser, right? And I know he's struggling with some of these complicated concepts. And I do try and put him up. But let's see how he handles the correction. I'm going to press play. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Count us down.
Now we're trying to find the cause of that effect.
Right, so for me, my independent variable in this would be to...
No, I want the hypothesis.
Short and sweet.
Oh, that's good. I don't think people heard that. I look at that. I made my first cock up there.
Oh,
I made
dear.
my first cock up.
Oh, dear.
I pressed play on VLC player and it wasn't on the OBS. So nobody heard
Everyone
said
on
there.
my stream heard it though.
So, can you summarise it? Because I didn't.
No, to be honest, I probably can't because I was concentrating so much on translating, transferring, and stuff like that. Although actually, it's just go out to play. One
Look at
second.
that. Absolutely. I made my first cock up there.
No, I just caught you saying you made your first cock up. That's the sort of delay I've got.
Yeah.
This is the complications of modern technology, dude.
You know, it's terrible, and I'm only my first glass of water as well. Look, it's not a big. I've just got small hands. Right. I don't know where to go now, so let's just jump on to the next.
Yeah, he was probably talking crap anyway, wasn't he?
Yeah. Let's see what nonsense he comes out with. I'm going to press play, but I think.
Are you ready?
So
Okay,
the massive
I've screwed
of
this
the
up completely. Right, Mr.
yeah.
Sensible, can we go to
Yeah, go on.
exactly?
What time
Can we just go to 1 minute 55 on the video?
1 minute
'Cause I've screwed it up.
55. Okay, and I'm ready to play at 1 minute 55. You tell me when you want to go.
Yeah. Okay, right. So this is where we should have been going off from. So I'll press play. 3, 2, 1, off we go.
cause of that effect.
Right. So for me, my independent variable in this would be to.
No, I want the hypothesis.
Just let it keep playing over that blank.
So the mass of the object causes objects to accelerate to the ground.
With a different force.
You can't say that because you don't know if there's a force or not.
Well,
You're
when I
just
say force, I'm
impugning
talking
it.
about measuring with a Newton meter. So whether you call that force or not, I'm measuring, with a Newton meter. I'm going to call it force.
Did you say
We're not
Newton
We're not
meter?
going to Newton's meter. So does this make sense to you, or is this just a tautology?
So we paused
So-
on that one, have we? Yeah. Yeah.
Pause on that one. So we are what was probably 10 minutes into the video. And let's just, for anybody who's just watched, who's just come, sorry, let's just go over again what it took me 10 seconds to explain to my daughter this afternoon. The experiment is this simple. We are proving that density, or showing an experiment show that density isn't the reason things fall. We have two objects of different mass but the same density. And even though the density is the same, it's controlled. We are going to see a bigger stretch on the spring inside here, a bigger force on that than we are here. So therefore, it's not density causing it, it's the mass. Therefore, we can ignore the idea of density being responsible solely for things falling. Okay? Not complicated, is it?
No, not at all.
Okay. But I mean, what do you think about it? Because he said there, you can't talk about a force. What do you think he's on about? Because clearly it does take a force to stretch that spring. So what is he on about?
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I mean, like they're always saying, gravity is not a force. I know we have an excuse me, have a little video to play a bit later that I passed over to you, which it explains about curvature of space-time. Because then you're not talking about a force. I think it's just multiple ways to look at it. But there's obviously something making that weight, whether it's ice or whatever, want to move in a particular direction, and as a result of that, it is forcing that spring to stretch.
Sorry, I've just got a bit of an issue in my chat. Anon, I know you've contacted me before about your comments not showing up. We can see them, so I know you're putting it in. I know you're not deliberately spamming. I know that because you've been hidden quite a lot accidentally, but we can see what you're typing because I can see that you've typed that quite a few times. So just let you know you can be seen. Sorry, mate. Go on.
Oh, I'm sure I said something amazing and earth-shattering then.
It
But I will say that I've had a top tip from Mr. Clive Wells about cleaning chicken muck off my desk. Rub it off with a flurf. Excellent. And sorry, Bjorn Kamitz has just super chatted 100 Swedish krona, saying that chicken was brilliant. And no, Bjorn, I'm not going to do a sex dance again. Right. Right. What I was saying, Katz, is that I've sent you a video which I think we'll be looking at a bit later, which shows a neat way of looking at gravity with regards to curvature of space-time. And however you think of it, whether you think of it as a force or not, the effect is as a force. It is stretching that spring.
Well, exactly. I mean, how are you going to stretch a spring unless you apply a force to it?
Yeah.
But this is a kind of dishonesty. Actually, I've just seen apparently when I wave my mouse over the screen like that, people can see it on the live stream. I didn't realise. And I've, for some reason, been hovering over your face. So I'm thinking you know do it. So I do apologise. This is the dishonesty. And I'm talking to you, Flawed Observer, right? You are the person I am talking to. And I said to you in the culmination of that comment section that we had that you are a victim. You are a victim of people like Quantum Rays who don't know what they're talking about, right? But yet you listen to their sound bites, you listen to the way they twist conversations and try and make things out to be more complicated than they are, or just avoid them altogether. And you, Flawed Observer, have bought that hook, line, and sinker. This isn't a go at you, but snap out of it. We've got a guy here who is denying the fact that to stretch a spring, you've got to apply a force to it. This is the guy you're listening to. Yeah? Snap out of it. Sorry, that was my little rant there.
No, go ahead. I'm all ears listening to that.
Yeah. Yeah, Flawed Observer.
Take that.
Honestly, you see that guy knocking around, this isn't meant to be a go at him, and I don't want anything like personal with that. I hope he watches it and realises that he's backed the wrong horse. Anyway, should we watch now? Should we watch the next bit?
Yeah, let me just get it switched on, and I am ready to go.
Okay, I'll count us down in a minute. I did have lots of cards ready with things to say, but I'm out of worry. I'm kind of winging. Right, so 3, 2, 1, go.
Things do have weight. Weight is also directional. You know, we see that all the time. Weight acts downwards. If I sit on an elephant, the elephant's fine. If an elephant sits on me, right, I'm going to get squashed. Or if I'm sat on the elephant, sorry, I'm fine. It's not squashing me from below, but it will squash me.
Yeah, but you're talking about weight here. Weight and mass are different. We're into your hypothesis here.
Now, it's going to become a little catchphrase here. What did he say that was right at the end of that, do you think?
Well, I must admit, you weren't very specific, Catz. You didn't say whether it's an African or an Indian elephant.
It's just a big one.
Okay.
Big elephant.
Big fat elephant.
big fat elephant. But weight and mass are different. So in his opinion, why are they different? Why are weight and mass different? I don't quite understand it. And he's not articulate. He won't articulate what it is that is the difference between them, even when presented with the simple argument that there is something directional acting upon that matter. Oh, thank you, team. Team still can't whistle.
he tried on my 5K special. He didn't succeed there either. Never mind. Love you, team.
That's the name of it. Somebody's created a channel name just called Team Still Can't Whistle. Just to troll him. Why did the Flurf cross the road? Cross the road. That's a reification fallacy which presupposes the road exists. Absolutely.
Oh, so I haven't looked. If anyone wants to tag me, because it's quite hard. I've got so many. I don't know about you, Catz, but I've got so many windows open. I hope I don't miss it. It's hard enough just to make sure I see the super chats. I don't know if anyone provided an answer to why did the Flurf cross the road.
I've got to admit, I'm learning that I need a second monitor very quickly for this, but I don't live stream a lot, so I'll be ready next time. But I mean, look, at this point, we're like 10, 12 minutes into the video. And again, for those, I'm not going to play the clip with my daughter again, but it took me about a minute this morning to tell my daughter what this experiment was about. Yeah. And we're, in real time, we're about 12 minutes into this conversation with Quantum Eraser, and we've got nowhere. And this is the tactics I didn't realise they used at the time. I didn't realise I wasn't Conspiracy Catz. These were just guys who were being nice to me, who I thought, I'll have a chat with them and educate them. I'll be patient with them.
Yeah.
I didn't realise that this was their tactic. Let's find a topic to talk about, do anything but talk about that topic, and then claim victory.
Well, Crafty Keeler said, why did the Flurf cross the road? To run away from a different perspective. Gary Isle of Wight said, because he didn't wait for the lights to go red, thus proving density. He thinks it proves FE, says Brainless Steel. And, I like this one. Call of the Void says, because there's a 15 degree per hour drift.
Nice. What have we got here? Professor Phil Bell. Oops, what have I done there? Lost my chat. Let's get back. Yeah. Quantum rays is just repeating mass and weight, but doesn't understand what it means. Yeah, and I mean, Professor Phil Bell is an incredibly intelligent individual.
Yeah.
But understanding the difference between mass and weight is something that you would learn, at primary school. It's, my daughter's in year 7, which is, for those in America, the first year of secondary school. It's not a complicated matter. Why should it be so difficult?
I really don't know. I guess it's a denial thing. It's as I tried to say earlier on and didn't really explain very well. They're having to deny all these obvious things because it all links back to things that disprove the Earth being flat. I mean, if gravity's a thing, a disk couldn't exist; it would collapse into a sphere.
Well, that's if all the anti-flat Earth argument, anti-globe arguments, all boil down pretty much to we don't believe in gravity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Team Skeptics got one. Why did the chicken cross the road?
Oh.
To boldly go where no flirt has ever gone before, to college.
I like that.
Like
Snark says, why did the flirt cross the road? To get to the other egg. And the flirt didn't cross the road because he couldn't tell left from right, up from down, says Mr. Jones 72. And Uberkosh says because his dick was stuck in a black swan. Uberkosh, you can't say things like that. That's terrible. Terrible.
So Anon says, what is the difference between mass and force? Which is an excellent question, and we're getting into things like inertia there, and that will come later on in this. But at the minute, quantum arrays are, is milking this as much as he can get. Thank you, Robert Charlton. Why did the flat earther cross the road? He was trying to disprove gravity. Superb. Right. Let's see how. Yeah, thank you for that. Let's
sorry, I'm almost ready to go. Mr. Jones 72 said the flirt didn't cross the road because roads don't flow uphill.
Oh God, Stargaze as well. Thank you very much. He's running from the parents that think he's Nathan Thompson. Love it. Right, I'm going to press play. Are you ready to counter just to see what quantum rays and get Howard the wrong next? And what I will say, there is go on.
I was just going to say to Colon, who's my moderator, it can't be audio bleeding in from the monitors on my desk because I haven't got any other monitors. The only audio is here. Sorry, don't know why that is. Yeah, go on, Karen.
There is a payoff at the end of this. We said at the beginning that this whole discussion came about a comment I made on an old channel I had, an educational one, where I said gravity can't be density, and they're taking me up on it. But there is a payoff where, even though Quantum Eraser thinks this is my toe tag, we will soon see that it's his. And I'm going to make a lovely little soundbite out of it. Right. Ready to press play?
I am indeed. You count us in.
3, 2, 1, go. Oh, hang on. No.
And it's just talking about
go.
mass.
I'm saying
right?
the mass will affect the weight. They are different.
But this isn't telling us why the mass of the objects causes objects to decelerate to the ground.
No, you're right. It doesn't tell us why at all. It doesn't tell us. What we do is we identify the link between the two, and then we ask those questions why.
Yep.
And that requires other experiments and other hypotheses, and it's a long process.
No, we have to do. See, we're not to the experiment yet. We're just trying to set this up because we're going to the experiment right after this.
Hold on, John. But can I just point out what you've done there? So we've not even through, as John has just said, we've not even got to the experiment stage. We're just trying to formulate the hypothesis. And you've already got the answer. You already know what's going to happen and what the cause is. You already know what that force is and what its name is and how it's measured, right?
No, what I've done is I've identified my independent variable, which is going to be the mass, and I'm then going to measure the weight of the object, right? And as I increase the mass, I'm going to look at the effect of the mass on the weight.
Okay. Do me a favor. Can you define mass?
Well, I don't know about mass, but he's doing a pretty good job of demonstrating density.
Absolutely. I mean, what is difficult to understand about that? Oh, can I read that now? Thank you, Girthy Earth. The flat Earth across the road to reach the elementary school to distribute pamphlets. But like, what annoys me about this? We are talking about planning an investigation. You get your independent, and then you do it.
Yep.
Then you look between those variables, and then you ask the questions from there. Okay, behind that link. I don't know about you, but it seems to me right to the whole explain gravity to me.
Right, Catz.
And then
Catz,
we can do the experiment.
I'm still getting your voice, but your video just broke up for a while. Oh, you're back again, thank goodness. Whew.
Cool. Sorry. Yeah, it seems to me that like what they're trying to do is say, if you can't explain to me how gravity works, then there's no point in doing any experiment like this. I don't know. Is that what you seem to think they're getting at?
But I mean, you don't know. Just because I don't know how a V8 engine works doesn't mean that I can't discover that a V8, a car with a V8 engine will go forward when I press that pedal. Then you might say, well, okay, why does it go forward when I press that pedal? What is happening? There's always another question. Well, I've got a V8 engine. I press the pedal. It's not doing anything. Why? Because there's no fuel. Do you know what I mean? There's always something else. Where does the fuel come from? It's just layer after. That's science, isn't it? That you answer a question just so you can get the next question.
Exactly, and the flat earthers don't understand that. Phil Bell's, Professor Phil Bell has made a good comment there. Just before I go back to that, the beauty of this is we can predict the distance a spring will stretch if we know the spring constant. So he's talking about Hooke's law there, and actually I mentioned that later on in this video, and I mentioned that in one of my Conspiracy Catz videos early on. But we can, but when I get onto that prediction later on, you'll see it becomes a farce. But that whole asking the question why is so important, and this is where this stupid salt and egg experiment lets them down. You put salt into water and the egg will rise. Okay, why does the egg rise? And Sleeping Warrior or Nathan Oak, they'll say, well, because the water is more dense. Brilliant, and that's it.
Yep.
Okay, but why does the water being more dense make it rise?
Absolutely.
But oh no, we don't ask any more questions. We don't ask any more questions because that and it's massively dishonest. So
I think that's them all over though, and so idiotic as well. I mean, Riley was using a TDS meter, a total dissolved solids meter, just claiming it measured density. He said it's a number. He read off the number. I don't know, 113. He says, but I don't know what that means. It could be. Well, you don't know how to use the instrument. Then you've got the wrong instrument.
Yeah, and I'm just, for those, watching, I'm just going to bring this guy back up again, Flawed Observer. Again, this is all for you, my friend. Dishonest line teachers need to go away. So he's a quantum arrays fanboy who's been spamming my channel for those who've been, have only just joined. And
sorry, was this your comment 1 or comment 2?
This is comment 1.
Okay,
again,
I'll
yeah.
just pop it up for my guys. Okay, there we go.
And I'm just showing people here that quantum arrays, the person he's putting all his faith into, is a con man, and Flawed Observer is a victim of that. Quantum arrays is struggling here to understand the simple concept that if you stretch a spring, you're applying a force to the spring. And if he's going to be your hero, Flawed Observer, if he's going to make you think that all teachers are liars, and we need to, go to prison, then just take a long, hard look at yourself, buddy. Thank you very much, Generally Shady. The Flurf crossed the road to move the goalposts. Anyway, sorry.
Actually, I do like that. Oh, Mr. Jones is on a roll. He says that why did Flurf cross the road? Because a black swan chased him. God. Well, I don't know how we're going to pick a winner on this.
Oh, talking of Black Swan, before we get back to this, are you familiar with the whole Nathan Oakley, what is diffraction question farce? Where Nathan Oakley couldn't describe what diffraction was.
I'm not sure if I saw that or not.
I ended up with a live stream on Sleeping Warriors channel with him, and he was telling people that the angular limit of resolution, the diffraction limit he called it, was the reason things disappeared from the bottom up. So I asked him to explain what diffraction was, and he couldn't do it.
Was this the 10-second thing?
I'll give you 10 seconds.
Yes,
Yeah, go.
I did,
Google.
yeah.
Your pal, thank you very much. The Flurf didn't cross the road, it was CGI. Yeah. Thank you.
So Cypher Zero, thank you for super chat. Australian dollar, $5 Buoyancy don't work without gravity. QE and Jokely are mongs.
Just say it as it is.
Yeah, don't beat about the bush, Cypher Zero. Tell us what you really think.
So Nathan Oakley, obviously, he's got a lot of stick for that. You know, he's got an awful lot of stick. So would you, if you were Nathan Oakley, let it die down, right? Would you learn what diffraction was and then make a video showing people you knew what diffraction was? Or would you release a video and call it "What is diffraction?" and then still not be able to explain in that video what diffraction is? What do you think he's done?
I'm going to go for number 3.
Yeah, and you can take it down, but I've already got my copy. So, that'll be coming to a Conspiracy Catz channel near you soon.
Yeah, no, I had someone commented on one of my videos recently. Oh, we never see Globers defending the globe using propagation of radio waves. Why don't you do that? And so I said, because I don't know anything about that, so any information I gave would be worthless. If I decided to do something about that, and I think I'd need to do a lot of learning, but if I did, I would learn about it first. I wouldn't just spout out a load of rubbish I have no knowledge of. You just make yourself look like an idiot.
Yeah, exactly. You know, there's loads of things that everybody doesn't know about. There's loads of things we forget at school. There's loads of things that it's not embarrassing to say I don't know about this. I don't know about that.
No, not at all. I freely admitted it there. I said I don't know anything about that.
But what flat earthers do is they make up, they'll do 10 seconds, they'll do a Google, or they'll listen to a quote another flat earther said and think, oh, they've debunked it for me. Yeah. I'll just use that quote, and I'll give you an example in a minute, but thank you very much, Paul Ward. I posted MC Toon's debunk on Quantum Eraser's Discord and got muted immediately. Yeah, not surprised. He then deleted the message and spammed him. Jamie Lee Shady, thank you very much. Goalposts are CGI. OMFG. I give up face disk. I'm not sure what that means, but thank you. But yeah, Sleeping Warrior, for example, he heard about the Doppler effect.
Oh,
he must have watched the video. Have you seen this one?
If you're, go on, do tell the story.
No, I'll let you take it away.
Well, I think it's the video that I did a debunk on. Was this about the sunrise and sunset?
Yes.
Saying that you should be able to see. Oh, we showed some photos of sunrises and sunsets and said that I forget which way. Oh, I think the sunsets have a warm reddish orangey, nice pleasant tinge, and the mornings the sunrises have a cold blue tinge to them because it's Doppler shift as the sun's approaching you and going away from you. And I did a little bit of research so I could put some figures in it, but I calculated how fast the sun would have to be going to actually make a visible difference, and it's bloody fast and totally ridiculous. I do apologise, I can't remember the details, but I do have a video about it somewhere in my back catalogue. Unreal, isn't it? Doppler shift. Yeah, you're right. He's heard of it, thought, oh, blue, red. Hey, that'll do.
I bet he's heard of Doppler. He's heard of Doppler shift, and then he's heard of red shift. Some things might look redder if they go further away. Some things might look bluer if they come closer. I bet he's no idea about the absorption spectrums and how those lines on the absorption spectrum are shifted and the redshift calculation, and he's not heard any of that. He's just heard something and gone, oh, I've heard something, so now I'm going to open my mouth and some words are going to come out that use some of the words I've just heard. And that's how he makes his videos, Yes. Cypher Zero, thank you very much. And thank you very much. He says, thanks for the awesome content. So he must be talking about you there.
And someone's just pointed out that my entire image is mirrored. So I'm back to front. I don't know if you are. You look the right way round to me, but I was mirrored, so I've corrected that now. I feel myself again.
I'm trying to tell by the writing on my shirt. I don't know if I'm mirrored or not. So, for those who have just joined, and I you know what, I don't apologise for bringing this comment up again because this is why we're here. All right. Anon says he has just said he's tagged me in.
Well, what do you look
Defy mass.
Okay. Oh, right. Sorry.
So he says, Okay, define mass. Well, that comes in the very next bit of the clip. We talk about defining mass, so you'll hear what the response was to that. But that is in the Paul Ward. Thank you very, very much. What's he say? Flirts are now reduced to wordplay. Exactly.
Yep.
They're reduced to wordplay because there is absolutely nothing left.
And Mr. Call of the Void super chatted $4.99, saying the chicken crossed the road to avoid a black swan Tokyo drifting a raging shed 15 degrees. Thank you very much for that call. Appreciate that.
So
Honestly.
again, for anyone who's that's good. For anyone who's just joined, this is why we are doing this. All right, people who listen to Quantum Eraser, Nathan Oakley, and then just assume that because Nathan Oakley and Quantum Eraser can shoehorn people down, stupid tangents and paths, and not actually address a single point, they assume that is somehow some sort of victory, and the globe, if you like, can't provide any evidence. We are. In real terms, would have been about 15 minutes into a video here where Quantum Eraser can't understand that if you put a bigger ice cube on a spring, the spring is going to stretch more because there's a bigger force on it. You know what I mean? Like this flawed observer, right? This is the person that you are holding up as some sort of hero.
Oh, are we playing the next portion, are we?
Should we do it? So he's asked me to define mass because if I say the ice cube on the right, if I get my image up again, if I say this ice cube on the right has a bigger mass, we can't just accept that now. Something, that's bigger has more mass. We now have to define mass. And this is where it just goes completely down the rabbit hole. Anything you want to say before we press play?
No. Roll the stupid.
Oh, thank you, Sontraman. Tide goes in, tide goes out. Can't explain that. Well, the flat earthers certainly can't explain that. You are right.
Perhaps it's just tilt. If the Earth's tilting one way or the other, that's going to give you a tide in and out, isn't it? And the ice wall will stop it. Have you ever thought this ice wall, ice floats? That water's going to stream underneath, unless you happen to also have a landmass ring as well. You can't just rely on an ice wall ring.
That's a good point, actually. I've not thought about that.
Yeah, interesting, isn't it? Must ask him.
It's a good one. So let's hear how Quantum Eraser now just goes into a world of, I don't know what he does. To avoid talking about a simple experiment and a force on a spring, he now wants to talk about what mass is, and this is just crazy. You ready?
I am ready.
Hang on, I need to go to that. 3, 2, 1, go.
Mass is essentially the amount of material that you're made of.
And that is not the correct definition of mass. Do you know that
Might not be
mass?
the textbook definition, but that is essentially what it is. It's the amount of material that you're made of, whereas weight is the force that you feel when that material is pulled down on you.
Do you see my screen?
Yeah, the amount of matter, it says there.
Nature doesn't. This is from Professor John Wheeler and Edwin Taylor. What is mass? Nature does not offer us any concept as the amount of matter. History has struck down every proposal to define such a term. Even if we could count the number of atoms or by any other counting method try to evaluate the amount of matter, like you said, that number would not equal mass.
Right. Now, we are getting to something in a second. First of all, Paul Ward, thank you very much. Gravity is purely a math description of an observed fact of reality. Push or flirt to show the math is wrong. Forget the explanation and stick to the math. Yeah.
I've had a super chat from Mark for £5 saying, bring on Mrs. S. Well, she brought Nathan. She dragged Nathan into here, but I'm afraid she's not going to appear on camera. We might have to persuade her, see if she'll appear again for my 10K special. She was very popular, Catz. I find her quite terrifying myself. But there we go.
Well, my wife is down. She doesn't know I do YouTube, She's no, I'm kidding.
No.
She thinks I'm decorating. So Quantum Eraser there, right? He's saying we can't measure mass, right? And actually, going back to what Anon said before, I mean, we could describe mass as the amount of material that we'd need to give a force of 1 Newton to have an acceleration of 1 meter per second squared. We could describe it like that, but I don't think it's wrong just to say really as a simpler term, it's just the amount of stuff. What do you think?
I agree, but I did try. I don't know if you have, but I did try looking that quote up. The only locations I could. Well, I found one location where it said I could download the document, but it wanted me to give permissions to share all my contacts and addresses and whatnot. I thought, no, thank you. And all the others seem to be flat Earth type things. So I suspect that it's something that's been very much taken out of context. A quote mine.
Yeah, well, and that is what he does. I think I misspoke a minute ago when I said I meant 1 kilogram would be the amount of mass that would have an acceleration of 1 meter per second with 1 Newton applied to it. Brainy Beaver, thank you very much. Flat Earthers wish we lived in Narnia. Well, yeah, you know what? This is a really good point. Flat Earthers wish we lived in Narnia. If the flat Earth was real, that would be a magical, escapist kind of world to live in, wouldn't it? It is quite escapist. You've got this dome, you've got this creator that you don't know who he is, and you've got this adventure to go on. You know,
if you saw the guy I did last night, Catz, you've also got a great big disco ball in the middle, which is what the starlight is projected, reflected from a disco ball in the centre of the dome. Hey, it's possible. Yeah.
Basil, Mark Sargent.
Basil Vino's just super chatted $6.99 Canadian, saying, why did the Flurf get to the other side? To cross the road, Flurfs are bass backwards.
Paul Ward, two super chats called Wordplay Defined. Thank you. Well, thank you for that, Paul. Have I missed? What have I missed?
Well, Touchpad's just super chatted because he's been missing this stream. He's just super chatted 50 Swedish krona saying, 2 of my favourite boldies on the same stream. How could I have missed this until now? How indeed?
You know, I can grow hair. I can grow it.
Yeah, so can I. I choose to grow it short. Definitely. You see, Creaky though. He's not. He can't fight gravity, so it's just going down.
that's it.
That proves gravity. I'm sort of neutrally buoyant, so it doesn't want to go anyway.
So again, we started. I'm just bringing the picture of this on the screen because I know people hop in and out of chats all the time.
Yeah.
I was on. This was when I was a teacher, right? Well, I still am a teacher. I don't know why I keep saying that. This was way before Conspiracy Catz, right? And I went onto Nathan's panel because I'd spoken to Sleeping Warrior about the idea that a simple experiment like hanging a mass off a Newton meter or a spring, right? If the two masses have the same density, we would still measure a different force. All right, that is it. And I've gone on Nathan's show to explain how that means that density can't be the explanation solely for why things fall. All right, for this force that we fall down with. So he's asked me what mass is, and he said he's just brought up this random idea of a number. He says what number you use isn't going to be mass. Okay.
Yep.
Which is why I brought up the 1 Newton, 1 kilogram having a force of 1 Newton to give it an acceleration of 1 meter squared. You could measure it that way. But I was interested in what he meant by number. Like he says that whatever number you use can't be mass. Okay?
Yeah.
Professor Phil Bell is I would expect no less from him. He's incredibly intelligent, but he's talking about Avogadro's number, calculate the mass of a proton and neutron, blah, blah, and we kind of go to that in a second. Thank you, Chupmonk.
Chupmonk.
So,
hey, monkey.
He's brilliant. I've done a collab with him actually. Hopefully that will come out. I think he's waiting for a few people to get back, but hopefully when that comes out, people get to see that because
nice
I really enjoyed making that.
I mean, Chupmonk was one of the first people I met in this community. Really encouraged and helped me out. So, big respect, mate. Big respect.
He is a good one. He really is.
Very rude, but very good.
Yeah. I'd have to put him on one of my my other private channels if we would have a chat with him.
Something without any chance of staying monetized.
So in the next bit, if I remember this right, I then tried to explain a better layman's definition without getting into inertia or anything like that. A better layman's definition of what mass is to quantum eraser. And this Anon asked before, define mass, and this is kind of where we're going. So, first of all, blimey, thank you, Craft Tequila. Quick reminder, she's reminding me. What are you reminding me about? Oh, she's not. She's reminding the chat about my memberships on board. But,
is she reminding you of the difference between a sheep and a goat?
I think so, yeah. Well, I'll edit that bit out. Okay, so should we educate Quantum Eraser about mass?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Oh no! See, I'm not on the wrong one again.
Oh dear.
3, 2, 1.
When he
Three,
said
two,
that
one,
number
go.
would not equal mass, do you mean the number of atoms? I mean, what number?
The number of atoms.
Right. Well, the number of atoms definitely doesn't equal mass because all atoms are different sizes. So like something like uranium has an enormous atom. Something like hydrogen has a tiny atom. So if they're made of the same number of atoms, they're not going to have the same amount of mass.
I understand that's a straw man. I understand that, but you said it was the number of stuff in something.
Yeah, the amount of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so the stuff is atoms. I don't care if they're different weights.
Well, the atoms inside them have protons and neutrons and electrons. That is the stuff. So the number of protons, neutrons, and electrons, then let's define it as that, the number of protons, neutrons, and electrons.
Yeah, atoms.
No. That's like saying the number of bricks is the same as the number of houses, and that's not true. You can't say that I've got 3 houses, therefore they have the same amount of bricks as the 3 houses I've got over here. We wouldn't say that, and it's the same thing here.
Define mass, please.
So, when you started talking about protons and neutrons, he had no idea of the difference between them and atoms. And I thought that was a brilliant comparison, talking about houses and bricks. I really did.
How can he not understand? When I started talking about that, somebody else on the stream in the background was like, "Oh my god!" Like I was saying something crazy.
Yes,
you know what I mean. So just let's just go back to our friend Flawed Observer. Okay.
Which one? Comment.
Oh, so I've just put it on my screen just because I want to say
okay.
message. This is the guy that you are following. This is the guy who's making you believe that teachers are dishonest and liars. Okay, so far we have seen in this conversation that he doesn't understand a force is needed to stretch a spring, right? And he doesn't understand that if you have an atom that's really big, it's going to have more mass than an atom that's really small. He doesn't understand the simplest concepts. Paul Ward, QE desperately trying to play the word game. And if I had been Conspiracy Catz at the time and not a teacher, knowing that the kids I was going to teach were going to listen to this and we were going to dissect it in the classroom, I wouldn't have been letting him get away with that.
I suppose you were just lucky that Nathan didn't go off on one of his wobblies and, you know what he's like when he starts ranting and swearing and so on. Well, were your kids watching live then, or you were recording it to show them later?
No, it was being recorded, show them later, and that's why he didn't go off on one, because I've only been on Nathan's show twice.
Yep.
This was the first time, and Sleeping Warrior had organised it, and he'd said he's doing this so he can then play this video to the kids so they can then, so basically we could laugh at Flat Earth and rip apart how silly they were, but I didn't put it that to Sleeping Warrior. So to be fair, he reined it in. The second time I went on was a time he instantly jumped on me. I left the panel, and that was that. I've never been on again because I'm not putting up with that nonsense. I did say something wrong, not wrong, but when we talk about protons, electrons, and neutrons, you were that like a proton in one atom can actually have a different mass than a proton in another atom. You were that?
I was not aware of that, and I'm happy to admit that.
Now, I'm hoping Professor Phil Bell, if he's watching, kind of expands on this, because I know he'll know this way better than I will. But the way we teach it at A level is, obviously, protons have positive charges, so in a nucleus they're going to be repelled, and there are forces at play that stop sort of protons, repelling each other. And we have something called the binding energy, and there's a little bit of mass of a proton that's lost. To E equals mc squared, and that mass becomes the energy that helps hold it together. I'm sure Professor Fulbell will do a far better explanation of this than me. But there are different repulsive forces at play in different atoms, so therefore there's a different amount of mass that needs to be lost to contribute to that binding energy to hold them together. And that's why when we do like nuclear fusion, we can liberate by rearranging the atoms, nuclear fission, I meant to say, not fusion. When we split those nuclei apart, some of that energy then becomes freed up, and that's where the energy comes from. Yes, so that was it. But Phil Bell, I'm sure, will give a much better explanation than that. I'm a bit
Has Phil got a channel?
He certainly has. I think he's just hit over 1,000 subscribers, and if he can spam it in the chat,
Because that sounds like a good channel to have a look at.
he's an incredibly intelligent guy, and I think he actually makes like he's part of the people that send the satellites into space or rockets in
Right.
space, and he like watches the live feed as they go up. I did email him a while ago, and I'd love to get him on and have a chat with him. Paul Ward, my word, you are abusing the super chats. Please stop, because But thank you very much. I'm abusing super chats because anyone willing to call out QE deserves this level of respect. Well, thank you very much. So. Anyway, where were we up to? I'm lost now.
We talk about weight of protons and so on.
So, yeah, keep going.
And how? Hold on. Let's part. Oh, I'm just hearing buzzing.
Sorry, mate. That's me.
Energy is released, or is part of the energy is used to hold them all together. So is that making a difference in mass?
Yes, yeah, and we call that the mass defect.
Okay.
But it's been a long time since I've taught that. We did that at A-level.
It's been a bloody long time since I did any of that in school, I tell you. And I did not get very advanced, so there we go. Oh, and Colon, thank you for posting a link to Professor Phil Bell's channel in my chat. So sounds like one to go and look at, have a poke around, a few likes, give a bit of love and a subscribe. I will be doing that.
So, hang on, just let me. Why does team? Give me a second. Just something I need to do.
And I seem to have messed around with the camera view, so I've got one large and one small. I can't get the two side by side anymore, so sorry about that, people. You'll either have to look at me big or Cat's big. Let's go for Cat's big.
You know, for a second, I forgot I was live streaming then. I was just looking at the chat. Because I'm watching on the screen. I felt like I was watching one of your videos. I think to anyone watching me, I must look like I just completely lost it. Right. So I'm going to press play. And should we see how quantum arrays replies to that idea about mass? In fact, I think maybe we're going on actually to predictions now. I can't quite remember. We'll have to wing it.
Okay. I'm ready to go when you are.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
But let's define it now for the sake of it as the number of protons, neutrons, and electrons. Let's do it that way. But it's definitely not the number of atoms.
I'm speechless.
Those are molecular weights. You don't count them.
I don't care. Let's go back. Let's go back to the hypothesis. All right, because it really doesn't matter. You haven't answered anything here. This doesn't. It's nothing.
Right. When you say that, like I can take an object that has more stuff in it. However you define mass, I can take an object that has more stuff in it. I can place it on a weighing scale, and the force that it presses down is obviously going to be bigger. You know, the amount of stuff does affect the weight of an object.
Okay, you're still calling it a force. I'm going to tell you right now, right, that gravity, the one that the scientific community follows, is not a force.
Hello.
Right? Let me just say this from George Musser in Scientific American. Einstein created his general theory of relativity, which provides our modern understanding of gravity, with the express purpose of expunging non-locality from physics. Isaac Newton's gravity acted at a distance as if by magic, and general relativity snapped the wand in two by showing that the curvature of space-time and not an invisible force gives rise to gravitational attraction.
I think the sticking point is obviously going to be the definition of a force, or the understanding of what a force is, isn't it? To me, like I said, it will change the shape of an object, the size of an object. It will speed things up and slow things down. Now, if you don't want to call it a force, that's fine. But we can't deny that if I take something that's got a lot of mass and it's heavy, and I put it onto an egg, it's going to break the egg. You know, if I put it into it, it's going to crush. You know, it's going to crush a balloon or whatever. Right. There's clearly an action that when I increase the mass, I get a bigger effect from it.
So you're saying mass causes gravity?
No. The gravitational field, right? An object in that field is affected. The objects affect each other, and there's a force existing between the two. But you can have the gravitational field without a secondary object. So the Earth's gravitational field. This is why I was asking about potential and potential energy before. Any point of the Earth's gravitational field has a potential, and then when you place an object into that point, depending on the mass, the potential energy of that object will be given. But essentially, and I actually forgot what your question was, and I was waffling on. Sorry, guys.
Well, you said a gravitational field. What gravitational field? Newtonian or Einsteinian?
And that is, I'm just going to read out a couple of super chats, but IMD Fox, Bricks and Straws is the best rendition of Three Little Pigs I've ever heard. I'll huff and puff and flat earth will be gone. Good luck, Mr. S and Catz.
And I would like to read out a super chat from Mr. Paul Ward, who's been extremely generous. £20 super chat. As I said to Catz, you guys deserve this. Keep pushing quantum failure till he breaks. Thank you very much for that, Paul. We will.
Thank you. And Jordan von Schmanitz actually comes up with what is an excellent question. Do you believe we are feeding into this madness, and would flat earthers go away if we ignored them? And that's something that I've often thought about, and I don't know. What do you think to that?
I think a lot of them probably will, but if there's no one to counter it, the ones that remain are going to continue attracting people who are either gullible, just have a lack of knowledge or a lack of questioning, and will fall for it. And I said right from my very first video, the reason I want to do this is if I can stop one person, just one, from falling for it, then my job's done. And of course, it was you, wasn't it, Catz, who managed to bring Speak Truth. You know the guy. I can Seek Truth.
Seek Truth, Speak Truth.
That's the one. Him as well. Yeah. You managed to bring him to reality, which I think is wonderful. And if I had done that, I'd be thinking all the stuff I've done to date has been worth it.
It wasn't. A lot of people do because they saw my video, and then his response afterwards, where he then came back, if you like, to reality. A lot of people kind of like credit my video for it, but actually, that's not what happened. He got an awful lot of support and an awful lot of advice and an awful lot of comments from loads of people in the chat. And I think it's just a case of the straw that broke the camel's back. I think he was already on the edge. He was already doubting. And that one video I did just tipped him over. But, it certainly wasn't the case that I did that. I think it was definitely a community effort. But this here, what you've just heard there, we are now, for some reason, talking about Einsteinian gravity and Newton. And this, let me just get our friend up again. His comment, flawed observer. This is what Nathan Oakley, quantum rays do, etc. Let me just point out how simple the argument is, The simple argument is we have two objects of exactly the same density, and the one that has the bigger mass will apply a bigger force on the spring inside the Newton meter. So therefore, the force on the spring inside the Newton meter, the force applied is completely it's
not related to the density.
It's been affected by the mass, not the density, is what I meant. Yeah. So the link there is between the force on the spring. The link there is the mass and the force on the spring, not the density and the force on the spring. Now, actually, I made that sound far more complicated than I should. It's been a long night, but he has done his little trick and shoehorned it left, right, and centre, and taken us all around the fields. And we're now talking about Newtonian and Einsteinian gravity, and he's diverted the conversation away from what he knows destroys the idea that density is solely responsible. And that's what he did.
Yeah, because if you were talking about two items, identical density, and one having a greater mass. Well, if they're the same density, that will also be the larger one. But if you exchange that for something, I don't know, polystyrene, the larger one's polystyrene, it's not going to be pulling down harder than the solid iron block that's next to it, unless it's bloody big amount of polystyrene. Yeah, mass and density are related. Am I getting? You know what I'm saying. I know what. Everyone out there knows what we're saying as well.
And what he's done, rather than just tackle the question, oh, hang on, yes, I understand that the density remains the same, we're changing the mass, there's a bigger force on the spring. Obviously, because flat Earth is nonsense, obviously the flat earthers hosting these shows can't take that logical approach, because flat Earth would be done in one debate, wouldn't it? And he's navigated through his own ignorance and stupidity and my naivety, thinking that they were genuine people at the time, because this is over 2 years ago, right? Before I started Conspiracy Catz. Me thinking they were genuine people that wanted educating,
but then
I've let them take me down that route, and we're waffling about, Newtonian or Einsteinian gravity now, and he's done his little trick.
But you know exactly what he is? A flim-flam man.
Yeah, definitely.
And not before, you said innocent. You just went there as an honest, nice guy wanting a discussion, and they took advantage.
The git. But I think since then, I might have
Oh, and Christ Puncher just super chatted $2. Again, CA, I presume, is that Canadian dollars, CA dollar? I presume so. Hello,
No
Mr.
idea.
Sensible, Mr. Catz. Well, hello, Christ. Hello, Punchy, isn't it? Not Christy. Punchy, beg your pardon. Good evening to you.
I do like Christ Puncher. I think I've chatted to him on Hangouts once or twice, and he's a good guy. Now, I can't remember exactly what happens next in this video, but I think I bring up the what Professor Full Bell brought up before, that we can make a prediction. We can make a solid prediction that if we increase the mass but not the density, we will be able to predict the extension on the spring. All right, so this is real world.
Right, can you just tell me what timestamp you're at? Because I'm not sure if I've knocked it.
9 minutes 37.
37.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready to go. Let me know when you're ready.
Okay, well, should we say 3, 2, 1 and press play? 3, 2, 1, go.
Anytime that they invoke gravity or say that word, they immediately invoke a cause, whether they know it or like it or not. It's
I see
either.
where you're going. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think we actually agree. I do. I get where you're going. All right.
Okay.
And
We didn't agree. I was being nice.
In terms of, I was saying before, you've got to ask that question why. You've always got to ask that question why. Yeah.
Right.
Now we do know that when I have something with more stuff, it will weigh more on a weighing scale. But then what you're saying is why. Okay. And that why, when you dig right down, we have to explain exactly the process that's going on to change that. Exactly the process that's going on that's causing that object to be pulled down onto the weighing scale, and we can't explain that at the minute.
Right.
So I understand you're saying, well, why? What, when we boil right down to it, no, we can't explain what causes that, and I totally agree, we can't.
Well,
But then-
can I just interject there? Sorry,
Go ahead.
but hold on.
Go ahead.
I must interject. So, I'm super stoked that you've agreed. However, people in the scientism community assert that it is proven with an experiment in quotes called the Cavendish experiment.
Now, this is where maybe I could have chosen my words a little more carefully. But in my opinion, don't know what you think, the point I'm trying to make there is that we do know that there is this force, this gravity, right, that works. The point I'm trying to make is we know it exists, right? Like we know magnetism exists.
Yep.
Because we can model it, right? And we can prove its existence. But I can't personally explain the actual physical mechanics of it, right? Now, to me, it sounds right at the end there that Nathan Oakley is saying, because I can't explain the physical mechanics of how gravity works, that we should therefore dismiss the Cavendish experiment. But the Cavendish experiment shows the link. If we have bigger masses, we're going to see more movement with that. Yeah, if we have bigger mass, we're going to see more of an effect. If we have less mass, we're going to see less of an effect. We've established the link between those two variables. The link is established. The next question is, how does that work? And obviously, I'm not in a position to answer that. I'm sure some people in the chat might be, but. Oh, Christ Puncher, thank you. Hello again from this side of the screen.
Hello, Christy.
Well, I mean, what do you think? What do you think of that? Because it seems to me that what Nathan and Quantum Eraser are saying though is you can't establish a link between two things with an experiment unless you can explain the mechanics of that link before you do the experiment. You know, I'm trying to establish a link between mass and force on a spring, but before I do that, according to them, I have to be able to explain the mechanics of how that works.
But that takes us straight back to that car. So you're trying to establish that movement on that accelerator pedal makes the car go faster or not, without. But you haven't explained how a V8 engine works. You don't need to. All we're trying to do is say, well, why? You know, what happens when I push that pedal harder? I go faster. I don't push it so hard, I don't go quite as fast. Brilliant. So why do I go at all? That's the next question. What's under the hood?
Exactly. You've established that link, and that's what Cavendish did. And there's been, you know,
Paul Ward just super chatted £2. Why did the Fliff cross the road? Define road.
Well, that's it. That is it. You know, so flawed observer.
Well, the Oxford English Dictionary, 1872 edition, describes road as. You'll never get anywhere with these guys.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a simple, you know, I've got the image of the ice cruiser. It's such a simple thing, you know, but in trying to just make a simple point that if you keep the density force on the spring inside the Newton meter is. We've been taken around the houses on, well, what is mass then?
Yeah, you're dropping out a bit again, Catz.
And now we're talking about the spring, so you've got to define what force is, and you can between Newtonian gravity and Einsteinian gravity.
Have you got a goat there chewing your internet cable? You keep slowing down.
Do I?
You're back. No, you're back again now. It just froze a couple of times. That's all. I think we got the gist of it.
I don't have the best internet. The Turtle Moves would ask a good question. After all this was over, what did my classes think of this?
Oh, yeah, good question.
Well, I showed them, and they thought it was hilarious. And then rather than want to talk about the science around it, the next lesson, they just wanted to see another one. So it failed exactly. Show another flat earth, say something stupid.
Yeah, but you know why? It's because they'd rather sit and watch anything than do lessons. Actually, I bet you're a fun teacher, a really interesting teacher. I honestly mean that. I remember we had two economics teachers. One of them was brilliant. You know, economics is a pretty dry subject, but he would make it interesting. He'd make it relevant. And the other one would say, "Now, boys, settle down," and just copy out notes on the blackboard, and you had to copy them into your book. So, you know, he was not a good teacher. He had the knowledge, but he was uninteresting.
It's you know, I think the class makes the teacher, and you know, if you've got a class of kids who are really interested in, and I know part of the job of the teacher is you've got to motivate them and make things interesting, but at the end of the day, some kids just are more motivated than others for certain subjects. And if you happen to be looking, you've got a class where that's the majority of the kids, they make you a better teacher because they listen more, they engage more, everything becomes more fun. If you've got a class where people are disengaged, you've got to be stricter. You know, you've got to have those periods where everyone's just working in silence to get them to be doing something. And, you know, it's our work. So you might watch me with one class and think that is awful, you know, because I'm doing what's best for that class. You might watch me in another class and think, those kids loved it. But it's the kids who make it. The kids make it.
But I think it's probably a bit of both. Definitely. Because I'm sure that some teachers would never get a positive reaction no matter what no matter what the class is like, because they're just not engaging. They're not making it interesting. I had a science teacher in my middle school, and he was fantastic. Got everyone so excited. Even the kids who generally weren't interested in stuff got everyone excited in the lessons, and that's worth a lot. And I've got two more super chats. Chrysler and Dave, $2 US. Flirt plus road equals reification fallacy. Quite right. And Global Mom, $5 US. Why did the flirt cross the road? A road is just SpongeBob imagination fairy tale science, you roadist. Honestly, these are brilliant.
Jump on the junk. Oh, sorry.
No, I was going to say thanks, guys.
Jump on the junk monkey. Thank you very much. He wants us to do a duet, so maybe we could finish off with a duet later.
Thanks.
I know I said at the beginning. We'll probably only go to about 9 o'clock. There's not long of this. I think we've got 2 minutes of this video left, but there is a payoff to this because do you remember, Miss Sensible? What point was I trying to make for those people who are new to the chat? I was trying to say that gravity couldn't be what? Gravity couldn't be replaced by.
Sorry, you've lost me where you are now.
Sorry. So the point I was saying was gravity through this whole thing couldn't be replaced by density.
Oh, right.
Okay?
Yes. Sorry.
And they are there to tell me otherwise because they were doing the egg experiment. Let's crack on.
Oh, right.
And see if we can get a conclusion to this, which hopefully will get a nice payoff. 3, 2.
Yeah, 3, 2, 1, go.
3, 2, 1.
So the Cavendish experiment,
I'm a few seconds
to me, right, would let that calculate the gravitational constant, but that didn't explain why the two balls moved. It didn't explain the mechanics of how gravity worked. What it did is it gave us something to allow us to constantly make accurate real world predictions and applications that will work time and time and time again. But nobody's.
Those aren't predictions. They're not predictions. They're not scientific predictions.
Well, when I said what I mean is I like the predictions I make in the lab. If I decide to change the mass of an object I'm going to drop from the ceiling, I know exactly the speed it's going to be traveling at when it hits at the floor, and I use gravitational constant for that. Right. The number that came out of it does have a use in the real world. But no, I would never sit here and claim that anybody knows exactly what that mechanism is, exactly what that process is. But what I can say is that it is definitely distinguishable from density, and it's not density.
Well, Catz, I just want to read out a comment. It's not a super chat. I just want to scroll back. Christopher Bell, and he's absolutely right, and I thought you should hear this. Good teachers are worth their mass, weight, and density in gold. And I think that's spot on. Yeah. I want to thank you as a teacher for doing what you do.
Well, I'm not doing it for long. This is my last year, and I'm ending it in lockdown. I may have done my last lesson.
Oh wow!
I always said when I was in my 40s I was going to leave teaching. It's a young man's job now.
Okay.
And I got the. Sorry, I might as well. Yeah, so I decided I've just got a super chat. Bjorn Kamitz, what? I don't know what SEK is.
Swedish krona. You got to do a sex dance now. You have to. If you've never done one, Team's done one. I've done one, and Fight's done one. He's got to do a sex dance, hasn't he? I want a thumbs up for everyone in Katz's channel if you want to see him do a sex dance.
I will do one, but I haven't got any pants on, so I'm going to have to do it like this. Okay, Bjorn, thank you very much. He said that's fantastic. Thank you. I'm curious about your input. Is the terminal velocity doing the density buoyancy argument to gravity? Absolutely. My thinking the relationship, the net force. My thinking the relationship creating the net force can't also be the one negating it. Yet terminal velocity is a killer. You know why? If density is the reason, when I let go of a ball here, it's not only moving into a more dense medium, it's starting to accelerate through it.
Yes.
You know, until we hit that terminal velocity. How can density describe that?
Yeah, and why doesn't it move upwards where it's less dense?
Exactly. Sontraman says, "Why did the flat Earther cross the road? Gravity, you bleeped hard. Gravity."
Actually, I haven't used him as a clip for a little while. It's brilliant, isn't it?
I like that. It's not one I've used, but I've seen it a lot. Okay, so we're almost at the end. We're almost at the payoff. We're at the point now where Quantum Eraser has tried to. Let's get this up. He's tried to ignore. What was that? What have I done there?
Oh no! Is this another error?
Right.
Are you ready to go?
We in real term, and this is on his channel. You can go on. You know, I've not cherry picked any of this. We're about 25 minutes into the video at this point. We've made the point that the ice cubes both have the same density. The only difference is the mass. The density is controlled, and the effect of that is that this spring here will have more force applied upon it due to this having a bigger mass, therefore showing a link between mass and the force on the spring, not density and the force on the spring. And he's managed to take us around the houses on quite a ride, doesn't he, to avoid talking about that.
Oh, we're ready to play, are we?
We can do.
I don't know.
So,
I can't see your screen, so I don't know what you're doing.
oh, sorry. Right, go on.
I was gonna say, are we due for the next clip?
We can be. I was just making a point that to avoid admitting that density can't be gravity. He's taken us around the house. He's asking us to define mass, define a force. He wants to talk about Einstein and Newton.
Yeah.
But I've slowly managed to get him back on track. So will we get an admission from him at the end of this that actually density isn't gravity, or will we get something close? Shall we press play?
Okay, ready when you are.
3, 2, 1. Oh, I'm on the wrong screen. 3, 2,
Yeah,
1,
well,
go.
I never claimed it was density. I don't know. I can't explain it because I can give you an explanation, but in science, the explanation has got to be accompanied by experimental validation.
So there you go. What did he say? I never claimed it was density. I don't know what it is. Yeah. So to me, that's quantum eraser admitting that he doesn't believe the flat Earth ideas that Nathan Oakley and Sleeping Warrior and Ranty have all put together, that gravity is density.
But I think he was saying that in such a way that they wouldn't realise what he said. He's trying to keep both sides sweet.
I think, yeah, and what I like though as well, he's mentioned, we have to have experimental evidence, all right? But what he's totally misunderstanding is, if we do an experiment on the level that he's talking about, right, a simple experiment with just one independent, a dependent, set up in his kind of like childlike mind,
Yeah.
the best you're going to do with that is identify a link between two variables. That's all you're ever going to do. You're going to identify a link. So the salt with the egg, there will be a link between the amount of salt you pour in the water and the amount that the egg rises. There is a link.
Yeah.
Right? Identify that. That's all he's ever going to identify. But he's got such a childlike view of what science is that will only ever establish a link. But then he's asking for complex explanations.
And talking about Newtonian and Einsteinian gravity and yeah.
He wants one experiment, that I don't know, will produce a complex explanation without any sort
of theory of everything. That's what you should have given him.
Yeah.
I saw someone said in a comment recently that he actually thinks in Comic Sans font. And actually, I'll read out a super chat here from IMD Fox, €5.49, saying, "Watching Flat Earth, I'm reminded of times my teachers would say, 'You'll use this in the real world.' What an understatement." Quite right. Quite right.
Yeah. So, I mean, there we go. I don't know what your view of... Just for anyone that missed, this was before I was Conspiracy Catz. When I was a teacher and the kids I was teaching were going to watch this video, I had to be very careful with the way I spoke and how polite I was.
Yeah.
I was trying to set an example. But
how did they think you did? Did they think that these guys were convincing? Did they think it was funny, or did they just sort of side with you? And yes, Mr. Catz is right. Those guys can't be right. Were they open to what the other side was saying?
The whole way I did the lesson was I showed them the video. I said, I've had a conversation with some people that think gravity doesn't exist, right? I'm going to show you this video. And obviously, they knew about the experiment because we said, this is the experiment that we're talking about. But that's all I said. And then the idea was afterwards, I would take their questions. So if they said to me, hey, sir, but like, what was he talking there about mass? Do we really, we could have a scientific discussion. What actually happened was they all watched it and they laughed and they laughed and they laughed. And at the end, they went, well, those guys were idiots. And they didn't have any questions because, 13-year-old kids.
So do you think they were idiots because that they could see exactly what you were saying and could see exactly why those guys were wrong? Or, were they just siding with the guy they know,
No, because the reason I was doing this was because it was a class that were difficult to engage. Right. And I was trying to think of novel ways to do it. And it was a new class. I'd not had them that long as well. I'd only had them a couple of weeks and I was at a new school. So there was no relationship or anything like that there. Yeah. And, I was still in that kind of having to be a bit more of a disciplinarian and falling out with them and, to get them to do what I wanted them to do. So this was a way of trying to engage them. I didn't already have them on side at that point.
No.
So there was no loyalty there. But, at the end, they just said, I don't get why he didn't get it. It's so simple. You've got an independent variable, you've got a dependent variable. We see the link between it, and the control is density.
Yep.
So obviously it can't be density. Changing the mass has done it.
Yeah. Well, that's good though, isn't it? They obviously grasped it.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I mean,
Excuse me.
wasn't going to go on much past 9 o'clock, and it is 10 past 9.
Okay.
So I may drop out on my side.
Well, just before you do, can we show that little gravity video?
Of course we can. Now I need to drop that into my VLC play, don't I?
So do I, and I'll just pause it quickly and resize. For everyone, this is a cut down version of a video I used. It's not done by me. There is a link at the beginning of it, and I will cut and paste that link into the description. I neglected to do it beforehand. This guy is explaining, and it's such a novel way of explaining, I think it's amazing, about the curvature of space-time. So I'm ready to go, Catz, whenever you are.
I will be in a minute.
In a minute, okay. Well, that's all right. I've left the link up on my screen, so I'm ready to play when you are. I can't remember the guy's name, but like I said, I will post a link to it in the description as soon as I can remember and get hold of the link. But there it is on the screen anyway.
Oh, I've just realised I'm not going to be able to show the image, am I, on the VLC? It's just come up as a dark screen.
Oh no!
Yes,
how is it you've linked your videos in through OBS? Was it?
Well, I've just played the audio. I've been screen capturing VLC, but I've just.
Okay. Well, if
now I'm off screen.
You're off screen.
Because I've changed stuff. I'm completely gone. I've ruined my stream.
Still,
ruined
you
everything.
can see a nice stream over my side.
Yeah, I'm going to say I am going to drop out at this point.
Okay.
I'm going to thank everybody for being here. I really, really appreciate it. I don't do a lot of live streams, so the fact that when I have done one, we've had over 500 people watching for most of it.
Isn't it?
And yeah, I'm just made up. That kind of support for someone who doesn't do live streams, I'm useless at this kind of stuff. So I just appreciate you being here. But Mr. Sensible's link is in the description to watch the video and carry on.
Yeah, so
just go to his channel.
I mean, I would like to say what an enjoyable time I've had, Catz. I'm really having it. It's been brilliant. I really, really love doing this with you, and I would love to do something else again sometime. And certainly with regard to that OBS thing we were talking about, I'll be in touch and we can sort that. So anyone who wants to hop over to my channel, I'll carry on for a little while. I will play that video. I'll give it a couple minutes time to give people a chance to get over. And then I'll open up my Discord and get a couple of people in if they want to have a chat for a while. We can talk about this evening. Thanks ever so much, Catz.
No, thank you. Oh, Paul Ward with the super chat saying bye. Thank you very much. And do go and give Mr. Sensible, if you're not familiar with him, go and give him a subscription. I really enjoy watching his content. So, please do that. And yeah, that's it. All I'm going to say before I go is just one more time to our friend, Flawed Observer, right? That you have seen the incompetence of the people that you are allowing to manipulate your mind and make you a victim, right? You've seen something at the beginning of this video that a 12-year-old girl could understand in a minute. And it's taken Quantum Eraser 25 minutes still not to understand it, and then agree with me that density probably isn't the cause for why things fall solely anyway. So there we go, Flawed Observer. Thank you for your comments on my channel.
And right. I'd just like to say, just before you go, so it's caught on your stream as well, Touchpad super chatted 20 Swedish krona saying, I think Quantum Eraser thinks in windings. I must admit, I don't... I don't really like QE. I've never ever bothered to do his video. Maybe I'll have a look at something. It's always so uninteresting. It's just a wall of text, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. It's very, the only way I can cope is by clipping it and putting it in songs. Okay.
Oh, right.
So on my channel, before I'm going to go to Quantum Eraser at his finest, where he debates Jose J.G. Gonzalez and shows all of his intellectual prowess. on debating. I'm going to play that song and then I'm going to sign off at my end. So
Okay, obviously we won't be able to pick that up, I don't think, will we, at my end?
No. So this is probably where we go our separate ways, but thanks for doing this and thanks everybody for watching.
Thank you. Really enjoyed it.
See you later, mate.
Good night. Wow. And Catz is out of here. So, I'm back to full size again. I hope everyone's enjoyed that. I'm going to have to rearrange some stuff on the screen. I will show that video in a minute because it's absolutely brilliant. I've never seen the whole thing about gravity and curvature of space-time shown in the way it is, because I've often seen curvature of space-time shown as like a trampoline with a big heavy steel bowling ball or a bowling ball or something in the middle, bending it down and then rolling a small ball which will either go round for a while like an orbit until friction overcomes it and it rolls to the middle. You know the sort of thing. That's the typical way that curvature of... Oh, I've gone massive on Discord. Curvature of space-time is shown. Let's see. Have we got a few... Oh, we got 183 people. So people have jumped on over. Thank you very much. And I hope everyone's had fun. It has been different. The reason we did what we did with the videos in the way that we did is we had two issues. One, if Catz was playing a video, it was only showing as a black screen, and whichever of us played a video using the meeting software that I'm still actually sat within, it wouldn't transfer the sound from the video to the other channel, so we had to just play it on both channels. It's a bit clunky, but I think it generally worked as a bit of a giggle. So what I shall do is I shall show you, just got to readjust, I shall show you this video, and then I'll hop onto my Discord and see if we can get a couple of people in if you want to have a chat for a short while. So let me get this switched on. Okay, it's called How Gravity Makes Things Fall, and I can't remember the guy's name, but it's only just over 2 minutes long as it's cut down. Here we go.
I call it the space-time stretcher. It's basically a graph for charting the up or down motion of an object over time. Now pretend for a minute that there's no gravity. If we let go of an object, it would just float there. Time would pass, but it wouldn't go up and it wouldn't go down. On our graph, it would follow a flat line along the time axis only. We can represent that line with a strip of colored tape. This is what happens as time passes. The apple stands still. Add some gravity and see what happens. Gravity is like a bending of this graph of space and time. And we can make that happen by turning this handle. The more we turn it, the more our space-time graph gets warped, corresponding to stronger gravity. Let's repeat what we did earlier, now with gravity. If we let go of an object, it starts along the same horizontal line as before, moving only through time. Only now, space-time is warped. Notice that while the object is following the same flat line, now the time axis is peeling away. Let's return the space-time stretcher to neutral. Following each object across time, now the apple, instead of just floating there, starts to move downward, and it accelerates as it goes. This is how gravity works. All freely moving objects follow straight paths through space and time. But if space-time is warped, as it is where there's gravity, then those paths appear to change. Let go of an object, and even though it's passing only through time at first, the warping will cause it to begin moving downward through space as well, completely on its own. And an object tossed upward will slow down, stop, change direction, and return to where it came from.
Get everything back on, and showing the wrong thing. There we go. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. What an excellent way of visualizing it, because it's not obvious. And I mean, he was doing it on a 2D graph. In reality, it's obviously there is a third dimension. Right, so let me jump in. I see we've got a couple people. We got an absolute shed load of people in the live waiting room. Fred the Magnificent, if you're actually waiting to come on as well, you're in the wrong room, chap. If you hop over to the live waiting room. So I have some. Well, for a start, I've got 217 watching, so that's a big jump over. So all you who have hopped over from Catz, thank you very much. You're very, very welcome. I think you'll find that this room is as friendly a room as Cat's room. We even occasionally have a couple of flat earthers in here, one being Multi Tom Tom and Flat Earth Aussie Jesus. Actually, he has Flat Earth Roscoe, isn't it? Aussie Roscoe or something. He's changed his name and he's not been around for a while. I'm not sure why. But no one in tonight. And I did see someone said, has Multi Tom Tom been banned? Not to my knowledge. I will have a check after the stream because I don't want to ban him as long as he keeps himself generally well behaved. So I have a whole bunch of people. I don't know. Should we go for it? Let's see how many we've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and possibly 12 if Fred moves from the arena to the live waiting room. Wow, this will be a bit of a bundle. So let's go for it. I'm going to get everyone over. So you've got about 30 seconds fair warning, and we're going to drag you all over. Listen, I've had a great time tonight. It's wonderful that Catz agreed to do that with me. I thought it was a really, really interesting video of his daughter who got it in no time at all. Clever girl. I think she's only about 12 or 13 years old, something like that. It's not a difficult concept. Right, let's go for it. So I'm going to start bringing people in. I hope they're not mid-sentence, but here we go. Oh, there's more right. Oh, right. Looks like Fred's disappeared. Okay, so here we go. We have Brain... Oh, no, we don't. Where's he gone? Yes, Brainless Steel NL is in the room. We've got Chief... Oh, it's all going slow. Chief Mojo Rising. We've got Demon Orb. We've got Edwulf Sledgeverter. We've got Farmer's Boy. We've got Flint. We've got Gary Isle of Wight. We've got Crafty Keeler. We've got Pie Parrot. And we've got Terwardy. Hello, good evening, and welcome to everybody. And I do have my desktop audio switched on. So, hello. Oh, no, it's not going to work. Hello. No, it's not going to work because my camera, I do apologise, everyone. My camera or my sound must be locked to the meeting room. Oh, no. I know I have issues with the camera, which is why I'm still in the meeting room. If I close that window, I'll have to reboot Discord for it to grab the camera. I don't think we're going to be able to do this, people. I'm so sorry. So, what a shame. What I could try to do, I'll put you all back in the waiting room. I can do something really dodgy. What I'm going to do is it's going to be a case of fingers crossed. Oh, where's that gone? Oh, fingers crossed. What I'm going to do is I'm going to very quickly close the meeting, reboot OBS, boot it straight back up, and YouTube should reattach. So we'll give it a try. If I lose you all, I'm sorry, but give it about 20 seconds. If only there was someone we could pray to. Let's give it a go. 3, 2, 1. Fingers crossed. Goodbye. And I think I'm back again. I don't know. We shall find out. What am I looking at? The scenes are all... I think we might be. Let me go back to the webcam. Show the webcam and hide something else. That one. Are we back? I think we're back. Yes, we're back. Woo! I can't believe that. Changing that on the fly, that was a risk. So, let me just move that camera a bit. That's not quite in the right position. Oh, there we go. There we go. Well, thank goodness for that. So let me try again, and I shall bring people in, and let's see if it works. Hide that. Oh, that was... It wouldn't be a stream without a cock-up, says Code. What are you talking about? That was magic, that was. I came out of a meeting, I reloaded Streamlabs OBS, connected to the stream before YouTube even noticed. So I will try again. Let's start bringing... I'll bring the first one in and see if it works. I'll actually swap the order of those rooms around. Right, let's try the first one. Brainless Steel NL. Brainless, are you there?
Good evening.
Hey!
Yes, now it's working.
Yeah. Right, let me bring everyone back in then. So we've got
Yeah.
Chief Mojo Rising. We've got Demon Orb, Edwulf Sledgeverter, Farmer's
Hello.
Boy, Flint, hello, Gary Isle of Wight, Crafty, Keeler, Pipe Parrot, and Tewardy, and we've got another one jumped in, 3 a.m. Wow, hello everybody. Can everyone hear me?
Hello.
Yes, we
Hello.
can hear you.
I
We're
hope
all in the same room now.
yes, you're all in here, you're all live, and I hope you're keeping a good 2 meters distance from each other. Oh man. Wow.
So state your latitude and longitude so we can check that.
Well, thank you all and everyone for joining us in the chat, both on my stream and on Katz's stream. That was fun. It was difficult. You wouldn't believe how many windows we were balancing, but yeah. It was...
All about the
Oh,
windows.
wait, no, I can.
So what did you think of Quantum Eraser? Excuse me.
In that case,
Civil education. What a bloody idiot that man is.
yes.
What certificate does this channel have?
His channel.
No, your channel.
My
What
channel.
certificate does your channel have before
Oh,
I
I
can tell
see.
you what I
I
think
see. Bronze swimming. I think there's about.
Ah, BSc. Okay, yeah. He's a complete and utter idiot. He really is. He's
Cockwomble.
Chuff
he's
nugget,
got such a self-inflated opinion of himself. It's unbelievable.
He's a hoof-wanking bungle cunt.
Okay, right. I'm not licensed for that, so we'll keep away from that. Okay, is that fair enough?
Yes.
That.
Yes. What were you
If
saying?
anything, I'd say it's an embarrassment to the education system.
I had a run-in with
Definitely.
that
And
guy.
hello, Chief Mojo. You're very, very welcome. And
Oh, thank you very much.
I presume you're a regular Cats man, are you?
I am, yes. I've been watching Cats for quite some time, and I saw you, and I figured, yeah, why not?
Well, thank you very much. I've got quite a back catalogue
Good
to
man.
go to, so there's some interesting stuff in it. I'm sure there's some rubbish as well, but there's some interesting stuff in there. So enough to keep me going for a while, I would think, because I don't know what I'm on, about video 230 or something. There we go. And is it
really?
I know, it's quite incredible. And at the bottom of the list, is that Tewardy? How do you say your name, sir?
Yeah, that's about right.
Oh,
Hi guys, I've been around behind the scenes for 5-6 years now, watching the flat Earth debate unfold. I've debated a few people, including QE, so firsthand witnessed his retardation.
Wow, was that fun?
Essentially, whenever you prove any kind of point with him, particularly if you do it on their Discord, you'll either be muted, banned, both. Or what will happen if you put something in the text chat that he doesn't like? For example, MC Toon's 2-minute debunk of Black Swan. He will instantly delete the message, spam a load of stuff himself, and then make it so that you can't post anything else. So this is how QE does it. And then what he does is he claims victory because nobody's arguing the point. Well, people are now, and this is why I commend the work that Mr. Sensible here and Katz have been doing, because I can't support it enough, basically.
Well, do you know, I can't put myself in their position. You know, if I was arguing the other side from someone, but I was really struggling and think, do you know, I can't disprove this and I can't show evidence for this, or I don't understand that, I'd be feeling bad, yeah. But what's the point of lying and cheating? I can always remember at school, I don't know what it's like in other parts of the world, but typically in the UK, the last couple of days at school, kids would, talk about the middle school, bring in toys and games, and it was a bit of a mess around.
Oh, yeah.
And I can always remember sitting with about five other kids playing Pontoon. I don't know what other names that. The 21 twist and whatever. And I was losing every time. Then I found out that one of them had extra cards that he was slipping in, and I said, "You can't do that," and I was really upset. And then all of the others turned around and said, "Well, we've got extra cards." They'd all been cheating. I was too bloody honest.
I knew you were cheating, Boise, because that wasn't the hand I dealt you.
Poor little boy.
I was just too honest. I've got a super chat for €2 from St. Q, the gaming stream channel, saying a 15 degree per hour drift. Thank you, Bob. Yeah, thanks, Bob. Yeah, we all like
Thanks,
Stag
Bob.
Bob. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Bob.
Good old Bob.
Oh man.
I do love it when flat earthers prove the globe. It's brilliant.
Oh yes.
I had a run-in with QE once. He was going on about the scientific method.
Oh yeah.
And so I gave him the dictionary definition of the science. I actually went and copied and pasted it, and then he said, "No, you're wrong." Okay.
Well, there's no arguing
No,
against stupidity.
I haven't come across QE. Like I haven't interacted with QE before. But Level Earth Observer actually came to one of my videos to try and give me shit, and then ended up leaving saying, "But I respect you. I really respect you." I was like, "Okay, I win."
But does he respect? Does he respect you in the morning, Keela? That's what we want to know. Oh man,
Do I care about respect from Level Earth Observer?
I know that guy is so dumb. Wes Wally's just done a debunk with regard to the Mars helicopter. He hadn't really. Yeah, I watched that tonight. It's great debunk, and he picked up on the main point, because I'd done a debunk about 3 months ago on the same video about the harness actually supporting a portion of the weight to reflect Mars gravity, whereas Level Earth Observer was so dumb, was saying, well, if you want to make the gravity same as Mars, you should have a tether on the bottom. What pull it down, not so hard.
What?
Yeah. So I mean, you can make aircrafts fly by just putting really strong tethers.
That guy hasn't got a clue, and yet he's in charge of heavy plant. He's in charge of a crane.
It's scary, isn't it?
It's scary.
I mean, I
How
think
did
that Earth. Sorry, go.
I was just wondering how can he get to that idea? I just can't wrap my head around it.
I no idea. He just has no idea. He thinks that cranes are the ultimate proof of the flat stationary Earth, because the load on the crane isn't swinging around like crazy.
Well, it's not crane.
If the wind picks up.
Well, yes, but
I've seen some of our stuff in the past sort of floating around because we've started picking it up, and then the wind's picked up, and it's like everybody grab a rope on the corner.
Yeah, but it's not swinging round because of the Earth.
No, of course not. But he doesn't understand reference frames.
Or the fact that
like most of them.
I mean, to actually move, the Earth would have to change its spin, not just be spinning to give it a movement. It would have to change, because if it's spinning, it would. If you suddenly started spinning, not too fast, but you accelerated gently, you would get some swing. But once that swing had worked its way out, it would remain still until the Earth changed its spin.
But you're not looking at it right, though, Mr. Sensible. The problem is you're not looking at it from a flat earther's point of view, which is misunderstand everything about the way that physics works, come up with your own definition of it, and therefore debunk the straw man that you've created, and therefore physics doesn't work.
I never thought of that.
Sounds
You're
about
quite.
right.
Yeah, they got me convinced now. Oh man!
I mean, all they have to do is go in a car, find a roundabout, and go at 15 degrees per hour around the roundabout, and they'll see how fast the Earth is. You know, it's an analogy.
Not even that.
I swear I get stuck behind those people.
It's not even that. You can break it right down. Like, people have seen examples. Like, Nathan Oakley can't convert meters into kilometers. Riley can't triangle, and yet they want to debate the mechanics of how something like relativity works. It's like, how can you possibly understand relativity when you don't get triangles? I mean, come on.
Wardy,
That was my biggest query as well.
Wardy, have you've come across multi-tom-tom, I presume?
Oh,
have you heard his latest, Wardy?
No. Go on. I haven't interacted with this guy for a while.
Okay, well, I'm going to shield myself. I did a video about him either yesterday or the day before, so it's worth a little watch. But he has issued an open debate challenge to Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Brilliant.
And he suggested subjects such as what was it? Astronomy, astrophysics, quantum mechanics. He suggested. This is the guy who believes the water cycle is fake. But here's the killer. Someone put a comment. Someone put a comment in his to his video. It said, "Dunning-Kruger at its finest." Do you know what he said, Wardy? He said, Dunning-Kruger, who's that? I'll debate him too. Oh, it's so sweet, man.
You can't make that shit up, man.
I know.
No,
I
you
know.
can't.
Well, so in my video, I played it with a straight bat. I hope he watches it, and I hope he doesn't catch the sarcasm, because I said I actually bumped into Dunning-Kruger on a Flat Earth server, and I swapped contact details, and I'm happy to organise a debate for him with Dunning-Kruger.
There you go.
You kept a straight face through that, Mr. S. It's just...
Edwulf, I'm afraid that what I do is I shoot a few seconds and drag it in just to double check it. But I shoot a few seconds and laughed, dragged it in, checked it. Yeah, that's all right. Got a straight face. Shot the next few seconds, then laughed. I could not keep a straight face.
that explained the big time jump from about half an hour in about 4 minutes into your video.
Because I'm rolling around on the floor.
There you go. I've stuck it in general chat. That is the screen grab of him saying.
Yeah, so the Wardy, it's a few rooms up from where we are now. You can have a look at that. And I see there's another guy in the arena. I'm presuming that he wants to come on. Colon, if Fred wants to come in, do you want to drop me a DM so that I know? Otherwise I won't. Oh, I have got a DM from Colon. Let's have a look. Oh, right. Okay, let me just have a quick screen. Okay. All right. Well, yeah, Fred, I'm going to drag you over. We're a friendly bunch, pal. No need to worry. There's a bit of a delay on the stream, so you probably haven't heard that, so I'm going to drag you over now. Hello, good evening to you, Fred. Please don't worry. It's a nice, friendly stream, and as you've probably heard, it's a nice bunch of guys. Hello to you. Good evening. Hello, Fred.
Good evening, Fred.
I think he agrees.
Hello, Fred.
Fred. Hello, Fred.
Maybe.
Okay.
While we're
Okay.
waiting for Fred, just to say, Mrs. updated pictures of colon
Kepler and Space
I said
Comma.
and cat. Sorry, I said it. Yeah.
Those sheep.
Kepler. So you have an up. They're not.
Oh,
I
you.
was like,
couldn't believe that when you said.
Sorry.
It's like, do you know what it's like? Do you know what it's like, Mr. Sensible? When you forgot Kepler's name on a live stream there not too long ago.
Yes.
Yeah, that happened.
Yes, that's right.
That happened.
I've got someone asking in the chat, just to explain on my Discord, the arena is a voice chat that's open to anyone, any time of day or night who just want to chat by voice. They can actually chat in the live waiting room. Mr. Sensible Live is obviously people who are sat in here being broadcast live. Nobody can get in there unless I drag them in. So if you're sat in the live waiting room, at any point you could be dragged into Sensible Live. If you're sat in the arena, you're left there to chat with whoever's there. Okay, so that's just a publicly available chat room. Sorry, what is it? Website. Oh gosh, this is getting confusing. Colon, could you do me a favour? Could you post a link to my Discord in the chat? Because right now it's not in the description of this stream because I took it out because obviously I was streaming with Catz, and at that point initially I didn't think I'd be Discording, so I didn't want the link in there. So if you, yes, Discord, there you go. Parrot's just dropped it in for you, Jay. Yeah, magic, as if by magic. It's
by magic. The shopkeeper appeared.
Yeah. Oh yes, but Emily loved him.
I did get your Discord through the description. I did get it from that.
Oh, is it in this one? Oh, right. I thought.
Yeah, it is actually.
On this stream.
Don't get me started
You
on
haven't
back.
done a new stream. You've just done a new OBS thing.
Oh.
Oh yes, there it is.
Oh, I see. I haven't
Under your
refreshed.
Patreon.
Have I lost all my description? I don't know. Okay, I'll sort that out afterwards. But there we go.
No,
I'm still seeing it through the original window.
It's still there.
And I just realised I'm still on Katz's channel because I had that running as well, and it's playing videos, so let's get rid of that. Can I just let people know that just before that stream started, in fact, when I launched the stream, so with the 2 hour or whatever it was countdown, I had 5,284 subscribers, and now
Nice.
I have got 5,341.
Nice.
Wow. Brilliant.
Yay.
Thank you, everybody. Everybody who
Yay.
subscribed. I hope I
Yeah,
can...
it's the Catz effect.
The cat.
It's 42 now.
Oh,
Definitely
thank
the
you.
Catz effect, because when Catz put up the image of Space Comet, I went up from about 250 to 800. So again, thanks to all of Catz subscribers for coming over and checking out my channel too.
Yeah.
What you need to do now, Sensible, is keep an eye on Ranty Flat Earth's channel, because he'll be calling you out for buying subs.
I know.
Like he does anyone who has more than 1,000 subs.
Can I just point out that
I want to be paid.
Ranty is still on. Ranty's still on just over 5,000, 5.08k.
Yeah, I've overtaken him now, and the one I really wanted to overtake was Anthony Riley. For those who don't know, when I was a fairly new starter, about 300 subs, I asked him if he'd be open to debate, and he said he wouldn't debate me because he didn't want to give me the publicity, because I was just a little channel. So I do like to mention that.
Awesome.
But
if
actually,
Ranty is so bent on people buying subs, why doesn't he go and buy some?
Well, actually, I just want to read out a super chat, and then I want to say something, because Mark has super chatted £2 saying, "Get Arnold back on." Mark, I would do,
Yes, get Arnold.
But Arnold, I'm afraid, has left the building. He may be back later. Nathan the chicken, I'm not so sure about. My desk is filthy. No, I was having a look at Social Blade. I don't know if any of you checked that out.
Yep.
Actually, yes. Looking at Social Blade, and I was comparing myself to Sleeping Warrior just to see how it was growing. Now, I think I've noticed a pattern in Sleeping Warrior's subs. He seems to jump up every now and then by almost exactly 200. Then he tails off and is very flat for a while. Then he jumps up by about 200. I'm going to see. Now, I am not. Let me be clear. I am not accusing him of anything. I wouldn't dare. But
Do it.
It's a conspiracy.
It is suspicious.
It is. Yeah, I just thought it was very interesting. I'm just going to see if I can call it up and get it linked in. Sleeping Warrior.
Accusing him of it, then I'll accuse him of buying some.
He keeps gaining 10 subscribers every few days.
It's okay. Maths and numbers, they're not reality, so it doesn't matter.
Well, not to blackguards anyway.
Right, I found it. So let me just try resizing the screen and see if I can make it all look a bit more reasonable. As I said, I have no hard, firm evidence, so I am not. I really am not accusing him, because it may just be one of those things. Let me see if I can now.
Coincidence.
Yeah, it could be, couldn't it?
Oh yeah.
Right, sorry, I'm
Bound
just
to be.
messing around with OBS. See if I can pick up this. Oh, it looks like I'm going to pick up the window straight away. That's good. Make that visible. Right.
So, I have a question. If the Earth isn't flat and I live in Italy, how come I can see a live feed of Times Square in New York?
I don't know. I don't know. Well, I've put it up on the stream. I don't know if it's it's just coming through now. Yes, it's quite interesting. Sorry, I've realised I was showing the wrong thing there. This is all going to get confusing. Right. Yes, I got it right now, I think. If I zoom in to bits of it.
Do this for us in the Discord. Do it for the stream, dude. We can catch up.
Well, I am putting it in the stream. I think my win cap is.
Just got to bear in mind that there's a bit of a time lag between us and the stream.
There is, yeah. But
there is actually quite a lag, isn't there?
Yeah, it's about 30 odd seconds, maybe more.
I'm going to try. Yeah. I'm going to try capturing the wrong thing and then capture the right thing, because it's the window capture's not brilliant. Doing this stuff on the fly is very dangerous.
Yes.
I did it one time and managed to dox myself, and so had to edit the video. There we go. We've got it now. It's on screen, so I'm not going to touch it in itself. But yes, if I zoom in, you can see around this area there's a sudden jump. So he's the column of figures on the left. So he's 4780 at the top, and or is that not updating? Oh. Let me move. Oh no! Let me refresh.
To be honest with you, you need a producer. I work a lot with the iNetwork, and we never do things ourselves. It's always a producer that doesn't have to do much to fiddle around with the buttons.
I know, but
Yeah.
this
Otherwise,
wasn't.
I've tried to
See,
do a
normally
lot
I
of
would have
streaming
stuff
myself.
planned, but you can see this area. You've got to jump, so he's at 3.34, 3.8, and over here he's at 3.1, 2.8. You can see this step. Now, I mean, I have an acceleration or whatever, and you can get a big lift where someone gives you a big shout out, but his all seems to be a step, fairly level. Okay, there's a step down, then a step up, level, step up, bigger step up, and then he was tailing off when he was doing all those Roxanne things, and then suddenly a step up again. It just doesn't look very natural. But, of course, that could just be coincidence, and it means nothing at all. But I just thought it was quite interesting. If anyone wants to study that and come up with some what's the word? Some theory,
some correlation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Maybe he had particularly good or bad videos at that time. I don't know. There we go.
Yeah, but it's also here in the Netherlands we have a saying that's like it comes down to people. You trust people in the way you are yourself.
Yes.
So why doesn't he trust people to gain subs in a normal way?
Yeah. I mean, I have worked very hard. I've had some great people in the community help me. I've had good breaks, like working with Catz tonight and others, and that's how I've done it. Yeah. What's the point in buying subs? I think it just wouldn't be worth it. The first time you're caught, that's it. You're out. I think, isn't it?
Yeah, you get banned from YouTube.
Yeah, it's interesting when you compare his lines on that graph, and I've just looked at Pip's Social Blade, and when you look at her monthly gains for videos and subscribers, both of them are pretty much a straight line that's just angled up.
Yes,
and her channel growth has just been steady over the last 2 or 3 months. But there's no little jumps and hiccups and ups and downs. It's just a straight line that's gradually going up and up.
But
up,
like with Keeler had a shout out from Catz, and bam, you pick up a load of subs. I've had a video mirrored, and you pick up roughly, if you have a video mirrored, roughly 1% of the hosting channel's subs, assuming your video's any good.
And I do have to say, so I haven't had a laptop in about 2.5 weeks, so that's why there's been no updated videos. I do have a laptop now, so I will be doing more challenging conspiracies in the next couple of weeks. So
excellent.
Just to update people.
Yeah,
just
sensible.
Social Blade. It'll be terrible.
Yeah, sorry. Was it you, Brainless, just called me?
Yeah. I think I found you a producer.
Oh, right.
Iris Dublin in the chat just applied for producer, so I don't know if you want a drunk producer.
I don't know. I mean, generally, I'm okay because I prepare well. It's only when there's something that, let's do this as well. That's where it gets dodgy. Okay, there was a learning curve. At first, I got lots of things wrong, but over time, I think generally, apart from occasionally starting the stream and not putting my mic on, but I haven't done that in a while, have I, guys?
No,
not for a while. Not for a while.
Very good.
Wait. Occasionally.
Okay. What my latest?
Be
thing,
nice.
My latest thing is one stream recently. Instead of my outro reel, I played my patrons, and then the next time I played my patrons twice. In error when I meant to pay patrons and then outro. Yep. There we go. And
that was funny.
Actually, I am going to just take this opportunity to thank my patrons. So, guys, in the voice chat, it'll be 30 seconds. They won't hear you. Thank you. And here we go, my patrons. With massive thanks to all my patrons, including new patrons D. Pep, Crispy Bacon, Andy Sibley, Glober Mum, Cy Allen, and Safuric, and my latest patrons, Gemini Lou, Blackford, Colin Field, and Scott Emmett O'Donnell. Thank you all so very much. Well, if only all you people out in the live stream heard what was being said in the background.
I'm still waiting for
Really
that check.
don't want to know.
No.
Especially
No.
Mr. Sensible.
It's
That
a,
is.
it's a good job I switched off desktop audio, or bang goes my monetization.
So I said to her,
Sorry.
"There's no way that's going to fit in there."
Sorry, I think this was my fault again.
No, I see we still have Fred the Magnificent in there. Fred, do you feel up to saying hello? I'm not sure if you're actually there, but you are logged in and in the live. Otherwise, what I might do is I might put you back into the waiting room, because I wouldn't want you to come back to your mic and accidentally start speaking or not realise you've been picked up. No?
Yeah, you could have audio issues too.
It could do. Right, Fred, if you're hearing me, we can't hear you, can't see that you're even speaking, so I'll pop you back in the live waiting room with Mr. C. And I see we have a couple of people in the arena, Pomeroy and Sleet. If you are trying to get on the live stream, you'll need to drop down into the room below, the live waiting room, because otherwise I won't assume that you're coming on, okay?
No.
Can I just say to Mr. C, Colon in the last couple of weeks had 2 grandchildren born. So
Yeah.
a big shout out to Mr. Colon and congratulations.
Yeah,
He's a grandpa.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think it's an interesting technique. I think he's about to open up a channel, and he's breeding subs through his family. You need more grandchildren, Conan.
That's definitely a good tactic.
There was a few of us with him in the live waiting room whilst we was watching and listening to you and Katz, and I could hear. I'm fairly certain I could hear one of them exercising its lungs in the background.
Great.
Oh.
Now we have to deal with more traffic in a few years. Thanks, Colin.
At least he doesn't have to buy his subs.
Oh,
so,
I,
hey.
I see Fred's in the chat saying, side chat saying, can't get his mic to work. Never mind, Fred. Try again
Discord
another
does
time.
that sometimes. You might want to just restart his PC.
It could be
Or
simple as
restart
that.
Discord.
But you're more than welcome.
I had that in here the other day.
Yeah, it does happen. It does happen. So you're more than welcome to. Sorry, I thought my door was open. Then suddenly feeling cold. You're more than welcome to drop in at any time when I have a live stream, and we'll bring you on. As you said, and as I hope you can hear, it's a friendly bunch here. No one's going to rip you to threads. Rip you to threads. Rip you to threads. Even if you were a flat earth, if you were a flat earther, you'd still get a polite hearing in here. Okay, I'm sure you're not. You're far too sensible for that.
I don't have a problem with
I'm
flat
going to leave
earthers.
tonight, guys. I need to go.
Okie dokie. Thank you for coming, Pip. And
Great
Nice to meet you, Nick.
See you later.
See you later, Pip.
Take
night,
care.
Pip.
Take care. Well, so Andrew Inglis is asking how to join the live stream. Well, somewhere in the chat above there will be a link to my Discord server. You jump on there and jump into the voice chat room, Mr. Sensible Live. You might want to jump into the... Well, in fact, sorry, I beg your pardon. You'll have to jump into the live waiting room, and you can have a sound check with Colon, my moderator who's sat in there as ever. He sits in there all on his own. Do you know what I think of asking Daniel Pratt, see if he'll sit in there with him to keep him company? Because Daniel's probably fed up of his boiler anyway.
What's Colon done to deserve that?
Nothing. Colon's always welcome. I dragged him in. I think it was on my 5K special. Dragged him in for a few minutes.
You did, yes.
But yeah, Colon helps me out big time. Colon is very much appreciated.
Colon's evil.
Evil?
He
What?
keeps finding evil videos.
Hello.
Making people watch them.
Sensible.
Oh, I've got a Mr. Colon here. Do you know, I forgot that. He's the one other person who can jump into this room. Hello, Colon. Yeah, good to hear you, man. How are you tonight?
I'd just like to say, yeah, I'm fantastic, but I'd just like to say, if Daniel Pratt ever turned up, I'm out of here.
Okay, I'm sorry, pal. No more threats. No more threats.
All right.
Okay, you take care, and congratulations on the grandkids, man.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. The grandkids are doing great.
Colon has been fantastic in finding really weird videos for the Silly Shills show and doing research for us. So that is amazing. I love this guy.
Oh, thank you.
He is a good
anyway,
boy.
I'm going to go back to doing my job. I'll catch you in a bit.
Okay, cool, man.
Okay.
Take care. Take care.
See you in a bit.
Wow. Like I said, I've dragged him on stream once before. That's the first time he's ever popped in by himself on live, to the extent that I'd forgotten that he could. He's the only other person with permission. Thanks, Colon.
Somebody sling that man a beer.
Definitely.
I have beers.
You have beers, but the thing is, barman, I have customers and no beers. You have beers and no customers. That's the problem, isn't it?
That is true.
Sorry?
That is true.
Yeah. Are you going to be able to open soon?
4th of July, we're hoping for.
Wow.
Woohoo!
Not long to go.
Is that a coincidence?
I reckon you should live stream it.
Yes.
I could do.
That'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
That's when my
Carmen?
hairdresser opens.
Yes, Crafty.
Speaking of live streams, do you want to announce a live stream that we're doing next week?
Oh, we're doing Taffy's 150 subscriber special live stream, and Crafty Keeler's going to wear a mankini.
Yay!
No. The agreement that you and Taffy would wear the mankinis.
No,
I was going to
me
say,
and Taffy have this cunning
You even
plan.
have a nice shiny new one. You have a nice shiny new one.
I do. It's quite worrying when random people off the internet buy you mankinis.
Oh dear! Oh dear! But, well, I'll just read out two
Whoever
super
did
chats.
that, thank you.
No, I don't thank them at all. It sounds terrifying. But Paul Ward's just super chatted £3 saying for Colan's beer. Thank you, Paul. And St Q, the gaming stream channel, super chatted €2 saying I'm still waiting for my shield check from NASA. Well, I believe they come at the end of the month, don't they? End of the month. Wait, when does yours come? When do yours come through, Barman?
Mine around about the 28th.
28th, yeah, towards the end of the month.
Yeah.
Yeah,
mine comes on the 25th because I'm quite friendly with Brenda at accounts.
Okay.
All you got to do is chocolates each month, so make sure you get it early.
Yeah, Brenda's a cool chick.
Ugly German Truce. If you don't know what a mankini is, have a Google of an image.
Don't.
And then
go to the Skeptics channel.
Borat. There you go. There's your answer. Borat.
Yes.
Or Team Skeptic. Even
Yeah,
better.
Team Skeptic did it very well.
Did he now? I've avoided that video. I value my mental health.
That night when he answered the door when he was in his mankini, it was Halloween night. Trick and treat.
I now have PTSD, so thank you very much.
Keeler.
When he turned around and said, "It's okay, I'm live streaming on YouTube."
Keeler, Irish Dublin girl, pointed out that a mankini probably won't cover much for you, but it could do wonders for your subs. You know, I'll be honest, it could do wonders for your subs.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Well, she could wear it.
Well, someone else suggested you put a goat in a mankini, Keeler. I don't know if you're cut out.
No.
Oh no.
Oh, and hello to Leo.
Bring the camera.
I've got Leo, a brand new sensible member. Hello to you. Actually, I will switch the alerts back on because I switched them off during the stream because I thought I hoped that I was going to get a few subs, and I did. In which case, it would have been saying sensible member, and I thought that might be
a new sensible member.
Well, I switched it on just in time. Welcome, Leo, and thank you for joining. Ah, right. So where were we? Where were we indeed? So did you guys all catch the video anyway with Multi Tom Tom?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Nope. Yes.
So who was the no? Was that you, Barman?
No, I was just like, Multi Tom Tom.
Oh, but you didn't catch his. You didn't catch his latest
The
then.
man that said atmospheric pressure is fake.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He did a 45-minute video on it.
Oh, do you know? I've not seen that one. I saw him trying to explain that. What was it?
Hey there.
Oh,
a brand new
all his
shiny
villagers were praising him for it as well. It was hilarious.
All the what? Sorry.
All his villagers.
Villages.
Villagers. Run away! Pitchforks.
Oh, I see. Yes.
Yeah.
But
his
I mean,
community.
he's got so much dumb. He was trying to explain that the moon is. I can't remember what it was, but it's charged by the sun.
Oh no!
So
Well, the best was timesdate.com control the times of the world and are hiding the heliocentric model. What?
Well, I just say I dragged a couple more people in here. We've got Demon Orb and Tusk. Good evening to both of you.
Oh, hello.
Hello there.
Hello. It's getting quite crowded in here.
Can I just make one little comment about the geocentric model? That
Please
doesn't
do.
imply that the Earth is flat.
No.
They do seem to forget that the geocentric model just places the Earth at the middle. It doesn't make it flat.
No, that's right. Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah,
prior
they think
to
it's heliocentric
when
versus
you had
geos.
what's his face, yeah, when you had what's
Gotta
his
go
face
for it.
saying, "Hang on a minute, it's the sun at the centre and not the Earth," they already knew by then and had known for many, many years that the Earth wasn't flat.
Yeah,
Definitely.
it's very obvious.
And I've got to say, I see Call of the Void is making comments about you need a sensible member if you decide to wear a mankini. I'm not quite sure. Are you saying you'll become a member if I wear a mankini, or I'm not sure because I really don't want to wear a mankini.
I think that's what you're talking about. A different member.
Yeah, I think it's.
I see. I see. Right. Yes, that makes sense.
You need to be 13 to get that joke.
I think it might be time to get a pair of old socks out or something.
Oh man. Oh, please excuse me, guys. I was on earlies today, so I was up at 5. But I'm on days tomorrow, which start at midday, so I'll get a bit of a lie-in. Not much, but a little.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Ugly, thank you. That's been explained to me now. Thank you. I just really... Whoosh. I did a flat earther. It was all, over my head. Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Right. So, yeah.
Blimey, that is both.
It's better than a member in your face.
I'm sorry?
It's better, no, nothing.
Okay. Don't worry. I'll replay that and find out what you said.
I'll tell you later. Yeah, I heard
Actually,
it.
just as an aside, how many of you jumped from my channel to Catz and back again?
All of us.
Okay.
Who's Catz?
So there was a bit of. I know my channel was running a bit of a delay, wasn't it?
No, you were coming through to me quicker than Catz was.
That's interesting. Because to me, I was coming through after him.
But there was only about a 5-second delay at my end
between the two of us.
Yeah,
I had both streams open, but I'd unmuted Catz.
Yeah, I had both open, and I was so actually that's quite good. We both get a view for that. I had both open. Had him. Actually, I had them both muted because I was listening to him on the meeting software. Because otherwise, I've got my OBS showing one delay. I've got my meeting room in effect live, and then I've got 2 YouTube channels running at different paces, and YouTube Studio running somewhere in between. So about 6 different time zones I was in. So it got rather complicated. I'm amazed it went as well as it did.
I will hold my hand up. I'll hold my hand up and admit that although I had both streams open, I was watching Catz. But that's only because I'm a moderator in his channel. So I thought it was probably better to be watching that one.
Okay.
Excuses.
Yeah.
I was in the middle of cooking pizza and shit, and so I was watching it on my phone, so I couldn't have both. And I was watching Catz.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. It's not a problem. I mean, it's
He
great.
likes me.
I mean, I was just glad to do it, and he suggested. Because normally you do it, I'd go on his or he'd come on mine, which is really straightforward to do. But he thought of doing it this way, and we're not aware if anyone else has done it. There's good bits and bad bits. The only problem was the fact, as I said, when we played the video in the meeting room, I could hear the sound, but it wouldn't go across to him. So he tried it with him playing it, and there's something up with his player because he could hear the sound and couldn't see the picture. I couldn't see the picture or hear the sound. So there's something glitchy with that, but it was free software, so I can't really complain. So we just Sorry?
Thing I used to use way back in the day, like maybe 6 years ago, called Rabbit, and me and a bunch of streamers would get together, and you can snatch the control remote, and you can control the screen as if it's a different PC, and everybody sees it at the same time. Okay. And it was very useful for doing those streams.
That sounds interesting.
But it was, but it don't exist no more, I don't think.
I mean, there's a couple of comments. John Norris's Catz's chat got pretty toxic. Doug Walker said the sound was better on mine. Someone else said that. I'm not sure what the issue was there.
Talking of toxic chat in Catz, the prime reason that I was in Catz channel first was because I had it open for 2 hours, and for the 2 hours I had it open...
two people were arguing, weren't they?
No, Gleam
Yeah.
was spanking it off with at least half a dozen people, as is his wont. But he'd been in there for at least 2 hours, arguing constantly with everybody else.
Yeah, because when I started my stream. I could only start it when I got home from work, and I saw. Obviously, I was getting a link to Katz's channel to put in the description, and so I popped in and I saw that was already flying between those guys. I watched for a couple of minutes, but I left it. Oh, and Sleet said from Katz's channel to mine. Thank you, Sleet. One of my discussion partners is breaking up. Yes, I'm not sure who it is. I'll try and keep an eye on. Someone is having a bit of a breakup. I'm not sure it's their end or Discord. Discord does that from time to time as well.
It might be me by any chance. It might be me.
Yeah. You sounded a bit Dalek. Sometimes it's okay. Sometimes it goes Dalek.
Yeah, I have a strange setup. It's not a straight direct microphone to my PC. It's a complicated setup.
Okay. I don't like to mess around with complicated. So I've just got a straight USB mic. So someone tried to set me up with whatever it's called, Banana, and I ended up not getting any sound through at all. So I gave that up as a bad job and got a USB mic. It seems okay to me. I think I sound all right. And that's
you can pick up.
And that's without any processing. When I do a video, I put it through just a little bit of processing. It just makes it a fuller sound.
How did that person presume that you could pick up anything through a piece of fruit?
I don't know. Because there's another one, isn't there? There's banana and something else.
Voice meat banana or voice meat potato.
Tin cherries or something. I don't know.
You said
that was it.
Did I miss anything?
Potato, the other one's potato.
Banana and an actual mic, you mean?
Use a banana, just talking to a banana.
Yeah.
Banana foot. Yeah, of course.
What about a pointed stick?
Did I miss anything?
Well, we've got I've dragged a couple of people in. We've got Stephen C. Who else? I brought Crafty Keeler back in. And there was someone else, and I've lost track of them now. I don't know if they disappeared again.
Tusk was on, but I think he's having issues with the audio.
Okay. And I just see I've got a super chat from Andreas Elt, who did one of my cover videos when it's my daughter's wedding. He provided one of the videos to cover one of my slots. It was a 2-minute. It was my 2-minute debunk, wasn't it? That was it. Or saying I watched Mr. S because it was here I made my debut. Well, thank you, Andreas. And you need to do some videos, Andreas. And that was for 20 Swedish krona, which unfortunately, Andreas, I do, it is disappointing, I know, but is no longer available. It's no longer acceptable currency for a sex dance, so you won't be getting that.
So, apologies that I dropped out. We had a delivery of grain, and I was running around today doing various bits, and my phone went dead. So,
okay.
Are you going to brew that grain up, Keeler?
Well, the grain, what we do is we get whole oats and whole barley, we mix them together in a special mix, and with a few other bits, and give them to the goats for milking time.
I thought you could say you make moonshine.
I was going to say you should.
No, that's food for the goats. So I mean, what's amazing is, just when people come and they buy the ice cream and they buy the cheese and everything else, and they get to meet the goat, we actually get help with paying for the food. So the food at the moment is just skyrocketing because trying to get whole oats and whole barley is getting really, really difficult, which is...
So do people pay for a cup to feed the goats with then? A cup or a bag of food?
Well, it's for protein, really. And
also, but you said people come and see. Do you sort of say, look, pay £1 and you can feed the goats a bag of food or something like that?
Well, we introduced the goats, and it's usually up on the bank area where I do the live streams. So they get to meet the goats. They learn to milk.
Okay.
And yeah, it's all good fun. So they do actually get to feed them. If they want to feed them, then they get to feed them. But it's more a lot of people when it comes to the goats. It's actually being able to hold a goat or being able to hug a goat because they are just amazing creatures.
I know we had that discussion about that little one I held, but I think you're missing a trick. If you charge 50p or a pound, nothing excessive, people will pay that to have a goat feeding the animals.
Well, what we started to do is we charge like a $5 in.
Oh, okay.
And what that is they get a free goat product, either ice cream or cheese or sausages or burgers or whatever.
But how much to stare at them?
What is it?
How much to stare at them?
Stare at the goats.
The men who stare at goats. Yeah.
Creepers are not allowed on my farm.
That was a good movie. Come on.
Not that type of goat.
Have you ever heard of goats?
The men who stare at goats. Yeah. Great.
No,
I've had.
I was asking if she ever heard of fainting goats.
Yes.
I have, and I tell you now, right? I would not. There's two type of goats that I would not like to work with. One is the fainting goats because I worry. I am a worrier. So like the last week, well, let's be honest. Like the last week, I have been an emotional wreck because one of our kids has been very sick. His name is Cucullin. Tusk named him, and I hadn't slept in 3 days because I was worried about him. So I am a worrier. So if they're passing out on me, I wouldn't be able to handle that. And the other is pygmies. Pygmies are way too high. It's like dogs. If you think of dogs, the bigger the animal, the calmer they're going to be. Pygmies are like dogs on speed. And I wouldn't be able to keep up with them. I love ours. Ours are British Alpine, and they're so calm and they're so loving, and they're so intelligent. It's just amazing. I learn a lot from just watching the goats.
What would you say?
Have you heard anything about flat Earth? Have you?
Well, I do have the debunked duo, and they've been laughing at flat earthers for the last 2 months since they were born.
Crafty, can I ask you something?
Mm-hmm.
You milk them by hand or with a machine?
We used to do a machine because we had 33 milkers. But now we have 15, so we hand milk every one of them. And what's amazing about hand milking is you get such a close relationship to each individual goat that as soon as anything changes with them, you notice immediately.
I bet.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, with those numbers, yeah, you can do it by hand, yeah.
Yeah, and it's great because you're then able to provide a service that not many farms are able to provide, which is bring visitors in and teach them how to milk, because we take on volunteers, and that's one of the reasons why I'm actually here. One of our volunteers was a flat earther.
Well,
So,
I'm just going to take that up.
because we take on volunteers, the goats are used to being milked by different people. So you can actually bring people in, visitors in, and teach them how to milk.
That's nice. I want to say I've got a super chat from St. Q, the gaming streaming channel, again for €2, saying Flat Earth IQ is really high on the Richter scale. Damn right. Damn right.
Yeah.
You were saying about two types of goats and mentioning the fainting ones. It's a really odd thing. Have you guys ever come across tumbling pigeons?
Yes.
Because
Never heard of them.
Never heard of them.
I've come across tumbling
because
cow.
the same people, actually, Keela, who had the goats that let me hold this baby goat that they just sat on my lap, lovely thing, they had tumbling pigeons. So they had a pigeon coop or whatever you call it. They let the pigeons out. They circled round, and as they were flying, they would suddenly tumble, rolling head over tail, and then carry on level flight again. And I thought it was an amazing thing to watch. And I didn't know my wife, Mrs. Sensible, then. I was happy then. But I told her about these tumbling pigeons, and for years she absolutely disbelieved me that there was such a thing. I did manage to find a video on YouTube that shows them. It's a really odd thing, and goodness knows why they do it or what the evolutionary development was that caused them to do that. But it's most odd to see them suddenly turning head over heels as they're flying along and then carry on. Amazing.
I think it's
like a fur pigeons.
It's a what?
I think predators are miss them.
A predator avoidance thing.
Yeah, because if a bird's trying to attack them and they're tumbling, they're not going to be able to get a good grip, are they?
I think that's probably sounds reasonable to me.
There's a few questions there really quickly that I want to go through because people are asking about the goats. So we feed the goats once a day while we're milking. They go out onto the pasture and they spend about 6 to 8 hours depending on the time of year, and then we bring them in for the night. We don't do goat yoga because it's just weird.
Well, they stick between your teeth, don't they? You get goats stuck between your teeth. Doesn't
But
sound very pleasant.
I wouldn't be against it. But I'm not a yoga teacher, and I wouldn't. And trying to get a yoga teacher out here would be very, very difficult and very expensive. So I don't think if anyone moves to this part of the world and wants to do goat yoga, then yes, they can. Depending on the time of year, the baby goats are great for it because they will let you cuddle them. But it is a very calming thing to have animals around you. It's I've always said it. Having animals is just such an important thing in my life that actually I was here before going back to university for like 8 months.
What
and
part of
we
the
had the
world would that
babies
be?
and everything else. And then I went back to university in the city and I was getting anxious. I had separation anxiety because I didn't have any animals around me.
Yeah. Yeah, go on.
Tumbling pigeons. I did a quick search and do it as a way a survival skill, aerial attacks, just like it was said. So
Brilliant.
It is.
I fucking knew it. Yeah.
Well, whatever you do, lads, whatever you do not Google. All right, do not do this. I'm warning you now, Farmer's Boy. You understand this.
Oh, I
do
know what you're
not
going to say.
Google the inside of a penguin's mouth. Don't
No.
do it.
I
No.
did that. It's
The
very
inside,
interesting.
okay.
It's very interesting.
It's
creepy as fuck.
Well, I mean, that's
No, they
really
say
interesting
once
about
you
the
see
pigeons.
something-
Yeah, sorry, farmers.
once you see something, you can't unsee it.
Yep.
You can use
You have to live with it,
eye
that's all.
bleach. Eye bleach helps.
No,
Or
it doesn't work.
repeated bricks to the head. That works.
Just learn to live with it.
You could always use it to threaten quantum eraser, Riley, and all that lot. Maybe we should just
If you're not banned already.
penguin bomb their stream. The thing is, they don't have video on Oakley's. Oh, you want me to prove the globe? Well, have a look at this photo. Can we just share my screen and show them the penguins?
The leatherback turtle's mouth is worse. Holy.
Is it?
Man.
I've
Don't
just-
Google it.
I've just looked there because I do have a phone and the stream is on the phone, and I see Arnie.
He's sat on the chair. He came back in. He's got his own VIP entrance now. He's happy.
I love that cat.
And what about?
I love that cat.
What about the chicken? That was a bit of a surprise. Cats did not
Yeah,
know that
bring
was.
Nathan back.
Yeah, where did you
Was
find
that-
the chicken?
Was that a chicken or was that a cockerel?
It was a chicken.
That was
You
a
sure?
chicken.
It's sort of like
Yes.
Nathan, no cock.
One big car.
That was definitely a hen bird.
Yeah, it was a hen. We've got 4 birds. We only got them about 2 weeks ago. I mean, I used to keep them for many years, but Minnie Miss Sensible wanted to keep them again. So we set up because I've still got the hen house I made all those years back, and it's still good to go.
Are they
Minnie
laying?
was sensible.
One's just started laying. They're
Sensible.
sort of just coming to point of lay. Just coming to point of lay.
They're just coming. Fresh eggs in the morning. You can't beat
I
them.
know. Well, you can beat them and make nice scrambled
Omelets.
But I know what you mean.
I was having a chat with someone there earlier because for me it's important when visitors come to the farm that they understand and we teach them where their food comes from and where their milk comes from. And I was just relaying a thing that happened there last year, the year before, where I phoned up the local store because we were using all of the milk for ice cream because production was just blown out of the water that year. And I phoned up and asked for cow milk because I just didn't think. And the woman on the phone was like, I don't think we sell that.
Oh dear.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I don't think we sell cow milk. I was like, well, it's just normal milk. And she's like, oh yeah, there's a cow on the bottle.
Oh my god.
I mean,
Was she a flat earther?
The best story I ever heard about is somebody who did a kindergarten, I guess, and then they were like they had these little snobby children, and there's no other expression for them, And they were like, okay, let's go to a farm. And as they went there, and this one child ran off and then came back. Hey, look, there are penguins. And they walked in, there were chickens. So, yes, good idea that we went onto a farm.
They're still birds, though.
Whatever you do,
Yeah.
don't ask the lady behind the counter that didn't know about the cow's milk. Don't ask her for a milkshake.
Well, many
Never
years
know
ago,
what to put in it.
when we used to keep chickens, I actually grew some for meat because they're slightly different birds. And I managed to what's the word? Dispatch it myself, but I couldn't prepare it. But you know, I'm not vegetarian, and so I don't. My daughter is vegetarian now, but I do feel that there is. You know, if you are willing to eat meat, then you should accept where it comes from. You have to. So anyway, we had this chicken cooked, and it was really nice. And my middle daughter, we had a Sunday roast. Middle daughter came out and said, that chicken was really nice. And she was holding a plate. She said, can I have some more? And I said, do you know where that chicken came from? No. It was one of our chickens from down the garden. She looked at her plate. She looked at me, shrugged, and then said, can I have some more then? Brilliant stuff.
Very, very smart girl. Very smart girl. And it's about
wouldn't want to
appreciation.
hide. We don't want to hide anything like that from them. And as I said, one of my daughters has become vegetarian. Absolutely fine.
Hey, Mr. Sensible, you ever had rabbit before?
Only once, when I was about 12 years old, and I can't really remember what it was like, other than it
Rabbit
seemed
is
like
nice.
there's not much meat
Rabbit
and quite
is
bony.
delicious.
But I've
Tastes
not.
like chicken.
I will say this.
You
I will
cannot
say this,
survive
and
on rabbit.
It is dangerous for me to say this, but I will say this. Right, so I'm going to be on Catz and Creaky's channel on Wednesday. But in the future, as a farmer, if there is anyone out there in the chat that would like to debate veganism with me, I would definitely do that.
Cool.
I'll take you up on that.
Are you against or?
Rabbit is fantastic.
Yes.
So, Keela, are you vegan?
No, I'm not.
No, I was going to
I'm
say
a
you
farmer.
can't. I was going to say it didn't really make sense.
Fa-
So you're
farmers
both going to
aren't
argue on
vegan.
the same side then?
Well, no, see, right. I get a lot of vegans coming to the farm and actually, 2 vegans that came to the farm actually tried our milk and our sausages, which is amazing because vegans are against the but a
consumption
lot
of
of people
animal
turn vegetarian and vegan because they're against animal cruelty, and then they see what real farming is, and it's far from cruel.
Yeah.
So I'm always trying to educate people. If you are going vegan or vegetarian because you're against animal cruelty, it's a sign of laziness because you're not willing to do the research.
Yeah,
But
I
it's
think though,
also,
Keela, to be
it's
fair,
also-
that there is a massive difference between, I presume, nearly all British farmers and real sort of factory farm. I mean, I saw recently.
intensive
Well,
farming is not farming.
I saw recently, Keela, they were talking about the fact that if we're doing this trade with the US following Brexit,
Yeah.
they showed a UK farm with his grass-fed beef and so on. That was great. Then they showed these massive. I mean, we're talking about I don't know, tens of huge
Production lines.
No, well, tens of humongous sheds, each one sort of like the size of a football pitch, packed. I think there was 100,000 head of cattle in just sheds.
Yeah.
That's big
That is
difference.
not farming.
No,
That
I
is not
appreciate
farming.
that.
That is production line.
That's industry.
Yeah. Well,
That's
Saint-
come over from the States. That's how they do it in America.
The way I try to phrase it with people, because when you call people lazy, they're like, wait, what? But the reason why I do it is to get reaction and to get them to listen, because if you do the research, if you call up any farm and say, I want to see how you treat your animals, 9 out of 10 times, the farmer will say, yeah, come. And you'll get a full tour around the farm. You'll get information about every animal on that farm. And I do have to say there is a big difference between intensive farming and actual farming. Intensive farming is not farming.
Saint Q, the gaming stream channel, has super chatted once again. Thank you, Saint. €2 saying vegans eat the food of my food. It's not fair. I must admit, I'm a vegetarian once removed. I only eat animals that only eat vegetables.
Well,
That's
I'll
a
give you
dad
lot.
joke.
There's
Yes.
people keep sending me videos of Pierce Morgan debating veganism, and there is one thing that he actually says that I agree with. If you when it comes to outrage about things, if you're going to have outrage about things, it has to be consistent.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it doesn't work. So he makes the point to vegans that you eat vegetables. How do you know that tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of insects are killed in the production of your food, and you're okay with that? So why is it different? I just found it very, very funny.
Yeah.
Very funny.
Did you guys know that when you cut grass, the grass communicates with other pieces of grass by sending out an aroma and a smell as a warning to take away nutrients from the tips of the blades of grass in order to save its own life? And what you smell is the fear and screaming of grass when you cut it.
I had heard, I had
Nice.
heard about that. Do you remember many years ago there was an episode of what's that Roald Dahl's Tales of the Unexpected with this? Do you remember that episode with plants screaming? And this guy was
that does ring a vague bell.
he could
Yeah.
hear plants scream, so he could hear the lawn screaming, and then there was some guy cutting branches off a tree, and he could hear the tree. It was spooky.
So the guy forgot his pills. Got it.
Probably.
I love the smell of cut grass in the morning.
Yeah, me too. But it's true.
Remember that one Doctor Who episode where that alien seed came by and was taking control of the plants and turning people into plants that came in contact?
What of Tales of the Unexpected? Was that Tales of the Unexpected?
I'm sure it was one with Tom Baker in it.
Okay, I mean it's so many years ago I can't
Tom
remember.
Baker, would that be? If it's Tom Baker, that must have been Doctor Who.
No such thing as Doctor Who. Don't exist.
The Doctor Who episode, yes.
Ah,
Yes,
so,
yeah.
so we're talking
yeah, it's got
British purposes.
There's a show called
the
Doctor Who.
best Doctor Who ever.
Doctor Who don't exist no more. It's just someone who got abducted by Time Lords. So Doctor Who don't exist.
Can you really believe we're debating if Doctor Who is real or not?
Yeah, the episode was Seeds of Doom.
Well, that's what the
Yeah, I
Daleks
remember,
wanted
actually.
to believe.
Oh, I remember that. That scared the life out of me. That particular series.
Oh yes.
That was the one in
Bloody hell.
in the Arctic, wasn't it? With those funny pod things where the things came out and whipped you across the arm and turned you into a big vegetable.
I do. I
Yes,
remember
that's
that
it.
as well. Yes.
That scared the life out of me. That one did.
Is that the one where it kept growing as well? Someone kept growing and
Yes.
getting huge.
Yes.
God, I used to
Yeah.
love Doctor Who when I was a kid.
I now feel very old because that was 1976.
And Morpheus's brain. Who remembers that one?
I know the name, but I don't recall what happened in the episode or
No.
the series. I remember the one where there was one bit where they went through a tunnel, like a coal mine, on a coal miner's cart, and in the tunnel there were loads of giant maggots. And obviously they just took a close-up of maggots. That's as far as the special effects went. But I remember being too scared to go to bed after watching that because the maggots got me. I must have been... Well, that would be before 76. That would have been 74, 75. So I was only about 7 years old. And
If
I
you
still
really
remember.
If you really want to feel old, remember Land of the Lost, the lizard-like people called Slee Stacks?
No.
That
Mhm.
scared me when I...
No, I don't. Was that on American TV?
It got shown over here as well, because I remember that one.
Oh, right, I don't remember that. Do you remember the Tomorrow People?
No.
Oh, yes.
Because there was a series there. Actually, I'm going to keep quiet. No, I'll say anyway. There was an episode there with electricity pylons. Do you remember that? And they kept showing these sort of angle shots of electricity pylons making this horrible noise. And I was just thinking of all these guys with their fear of 5G.
Oh yeah.
5G. No.
Just real quick, because Irish Dublin Girl is asking for information on my farm. Irish Dublin Girl, if you message me or email me on craftykeela@gmail.com, we'll have a chat about that. And when you're over in October, definitely come down to me.
Nice one. Oh,
I don't like your farm. I can't stare at goats.
Well, no one knows what she is. You've got food for your goats now.
Well, Brother Grief says he remembers the Doctor being John Pertwee. Yes, with that car of his.
Oh, John Pertwee. Oh, what a
I can just remember John Pertwee regenerating into Tom Baker. That's about as far back as I can go with Doctor Who.
Because with John
And
Pertwee,
then obviously I grew up with Tom Baker.
But don't you remember with John Pertwee that they had more episodes with that Colonel and Unit, which they did bring back in a recent one, didn't they? Because that had been gone.
Yeah, the Colonel came back with David Tennant, I think.
Yes.
Yes, with David Tennant.
But there is generally a rule with Doctor Who: whichever one you grew up with is the best one.
Yes.
And for me, it's Tom Baker.
That's not exactly true, because I grew up watching Peter Davison, and I love Peter Davison as a Doctor. But my favourite would probably be Tom Baker, just because because of what he was able to do with it. But then it's one of those things, because when people say, when you're a true fan of the show, it's very, very difficult to pick your favourite Doctor, because everyone brings something different to it. When Colin Baker was in the role, when I was watching Colin Baker, I loved Colin Baker.
I've been called out on two things. One, that episode with the pylons wasn't the Tomorrow People, it was the Changes. Thank you, Rob Slide. And Ugly German Truth pointed out it wasn't the Colonel, it was the Brigadier. Quite right.
Brigadier.
Yeah.
Of course it was. Yes, the Brigadier.
We knew what you meant.
And Martin H remembers the very first episode with William Hartnell. Well, I don't, but I do remember the first couple of films, and the Doctor went on his travels with his granddaughter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there was nothing about him being a Time Lord then. He was a human, as far as I recall.
All right. So when I grew up during the hiatus of Doctor Who. So I was a 90s child. Well, I was born in the late 80s, so I was a 90s child, and it was on hiatus.
Born in the late 80s? Keela, it's 10:30. It's 10:30. Isn't it your bedtime, love?
I'm only a babby. It's coming up on the goat's bedtime, so I will have to hop out after this. But yeah, so I grew up in a time where Doctor Who wasn't on air, but my granddad was such a huge fan of the show. He had a VHS of it, so we would sit down. My mum was my nanny and granddad's carer, so we were down in the house every day. So from the age of about 4, I remember watching Doctor Who. And there's an actual, if you don't know the history of Doctor Who, I will say this. During the 50th anniversary, a series came out, or a special episode came out called A Brief History of Time and Space. And it was basically the origin story of Doctor Who, and it was absolutely brilliant.
Oh, but yes, that wasn't long ago, was it? That was brilliant.
No, it was around the 50th anniversary, because I remember watching it, and I was
like, I've got a copy of that.
wow.
Yeah, it's really, really well done, wasn't it? Excellent stuff.
And Bradley, what's his name? Bradley
Walsh.
I can't think of his name. He plays Filch in Harry Potter.
Bradley Walsh.
No, it's not Bradley Walsh. But he plays William Hartnell down to a T. But I remember the first time I watched the very first episode. I have them all, every single episode that's available on DVD. They were got onto DVD for me. And so I often watch that very first episode. There's something very special about that episode.
Yeah.
It was
cool stuff.
David Tennant was also on Harry Potter, and
he was.
Yeah. He was Johnny Barty Crouch Jr.
Crouch Jr.
Yeah. And so the reason why Chris Eccleston was the first Doctor was because they were waiting for David Tennant to get done with the Harry Potter movie.
That's not exactly true. That is a myth.
It was what I heard.
You can't beat
no. Chris Eccleston was brought in because he's an excellent actor. And 2, they didn't know what the show was going to be yet. And at the time, David Tennant had not long finished up the other series that Russell T Davies did on, what's his name? I can't even think of the name of it now. But he did another series. And so when it came to changing the Doctor, Russell T Davies, halfway through the first season, David Tennant was picked. But David Tennant was never meant to be the first in the reincarnation because they needed the bigger star, the bigger name, in order to bring it back.
I wish he'd done more.
Yeah, I like Chris Eccleston. He was great. He had that.
There was a big bust up between Chris Eccleston and Julie and Russell. A big bust up.
I just want to give a shout out to Call of the Void. Thank you for joining us, Call, and thank you for becoming a subscriber. He says, I'm going to go now. I'm a bit tired, but I have an urge to play a game of poker now. Love the stream of Catz. Glad I got to sub to you now. Enjoyed the after stream and chat too. Well, Call, as I said, thank you very much. You're always welcome, and perhaps sometime you'll jump in on the chat. We just kick it and see where it goes usually. So thank you, and thanks everybody who's just joined us tonight. Where are we now? It's 10:30. I've just realised we've been going for 3 hours now.
Nice.
Yeah, it's been a crack.
I when we're having fun.
Yeah.
Ugly German Truths clarified in chat. Thank you, Ugly German Truths. One of the best commenters on YouTube. David Bradley.
Subscriber.
David Bradley, and he was
not
absolutely
Bradley
brilliant
Walsh,
in
then.
An Adventure.
Well,
no,
you know
David
why
Bradley. I knew
Bradley
Bradley
Walsh,
was in the name. I just couldn't think. It was an adventure in time and space, and
Yes.
it was absolutely done to perfection.
It was very, very good and quite moving as well, the way they did it.
Yeah.
Well, of course, Bradley Walsh is one of the companions at the moment, isn't he?
Oh yes, he is.
I was going to say he is in there.
When he's not doing that quiz show.
In the head. So look, I'm going to jump off now
thanks.
too because I have to put the goats to bed. So
Okay,
I love
well,
you
thanks-
guys. And
thanks for joining us,
well
Keela.
done. You're awesome. See
Okay, you
guys
take
later.
care. Bye bye. Right, sorry. I'm looking at my Discord and I was thinking, blow me, there's an awful lot of people. They're not in here, and I realised I'm looking at the wrong room. I've got a list of...
Well done.
Well, not too many.
Somebody
cock-ups
accused me the other day of sounding like Bradley Walsh, but
Actually,
I don't hear it myself.
I can hear it. It wouldn't have sprung to mind, but I can hear it. Where
No.
they hear it. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think that was in one of Terry's live streams, and somebody said in the side chat, "Oh, Farmer's Boy, you sound just like Bradley Walsh." And I thought, really? I don't know, but I used to get called Harry Enfield a lot.
Did you? Bish bosh, loads of dosh, loads of money.
Shut your mouth and look at my
That's so unfair.
Whop your wad on a counter.
Counter, yeah.
I love Harry Enfield.
I got to run.
Although, of course, it was Paul Whitehouse.
Sorry,
that wrote most of
someone's got to run. Who is it's got to run?
I gotta bounce and go check a horse's water. We got they say it's leaking, so I'm the only one that fixes them. So
Okay, you take care, Stephen.
well, I may not be gone that long. I don't know, but if you guys aren't here, thanks for having me.
Okay, we'll see how it goes. All right, then. Cheers, pal. Take care. Bye bye.
See you in a bit, Stephen.
Bye.
See you, Stephen.
Do you remember?
Everybody in this chat run a farm or something?
No. I just had
Somebody
to have,
should-
I just happen to have chickens in my office.
I live on. I live on.
Strangely enough, I grew up on a farm.
There's so much talk about like chickens and goats and horses. I'm thinking, what have I dropped myself into here?
My parents used to have goats and chickens and ducks and quails. So
It's your fault for being a city
I live on
boy.
a horse farm. I live on a horse
Well, you
farm.
can't read, no, I can't write, so that don't really matter.
I can't read and I can't write, but I can
Drive a tractor.
Are you right, my old booty?
Norfolk born, Norfolk
Thick in the
bred,
head.
that's
strong
it.
of arm, weak of head. So, Tewadi, can I ask you? I don't intend to dox anyone, but can you tell us a bit about yourself? Perhaps what part of the world you come from, or whether you've got a channel, or what you do, or whatever you feel happy sharing.
Sure. I mean, I've just been here sort of lurking, I suppose, for the evening. But yeah, I've sort of been around and, watched the debate sort of go on for about, like I said, about 5-6 years now.
Yeah.
And,
Has anything changed?
I remember when the arguments were things like, I mean, they still are to some extent, but they used to be things like, well, the horizon always rises to eye level. Water is always flat and level.
Yep.
Things like curvature has never been observed, measured, or anything of the sort.
Boats don't go off the horizon; they just shrink.
Yeah, and I think now that they always used to say things like, "Oh yeah, you just need a better camera so you can see further." You can zoom in and you can bring these things back.
Better camera. It needs to be a P900.
Or
need
P1000.
Yeah. So what's happened, obviously, over time, people like Soundly have come along, and people like Simon Dan and Professor Dave, and they're just pointing out like flat earthers' own claims are inconsistent with one another, and the things that they state as facts are clearly just not facts because they can be shown to be observably wrong. And the net result now is that it's moved from being claims about, science being a lie to then it kind of moved into, well, the maths doesn't add up because maths isn't real, maths isn't reality, or models are fake and all that crap.
I don't understand that. The whole
so
business
it moved.
We don't live on a model. No, a model is an example of reality. It's just so you can explain it and.
Yeah. So the argument that I then started throwing back at flat earthers when they told me stuff like that was, okay, fine. It is just a model. Maths isn't reality. Now go and show me a triangle, a right-angled triangle that doesn't have a 90-degree corner in it in reality.
Yes.
And at that point, of course, you lose them. They change the subject, and then it kind of comes on to what is kind of now the current debate. And the current debate at the moment is just, well, I don't agree with your definition of this term, and I'm going to spend 4 hours discussing that rather than actually discussing the point of my argument.
Yeah,
and,
that's particularly boring, isn't it?
Yeah, so the latest one I've been following is one between this guy that calls himself Professor Dave on Twitter and Sly Sparkane. They've been talking about this water level measurement thing. And I had the pleasure of going over to Emma UK's server and debating him directly on this. And I failed to get across to him the point that if you've got two levels, if you like, two water levels that are showing level, and you put them sufficiently far enough apart on a flat Earth, then those levels should be directly in line with one another.
Yep.
But if you put them sufficiently far apart on a globe Earth, then there will be a bend in them, and they will still be level.
Yes, that's quite interesting. And actually, to Wardy, can you actually? I'm going to send you a DM, right? Just so that we're in contact. So can you at some point reply back to this because I'd like to discuss something with you. Okay, I don't want to go into it now. All right.
Yeah. Sounds
okay.
Awesome.
Cheers.
But
cheers.
That conversation then led to, okay, so take those levels and by extension, let's make them perpendicular lines from basically the baseline, which is deemed to be the Earth. Now, if we drew those lines long enough and then measured the distances between the bottom of them and measured the distances between the top of them, what would we expect to see on both models? And this is the thing that they can never kind of get past because people are stuck on quibbling over the definition of level. And thus they will never actually move on to the point is that the tops of those lines should be further apart if the Earth is not indeed flat. Yep. And I've already given them how they can do the measurement, which is GPS, because everybody agrees that GPS works, but nobody accepts kind of from either side of this debate how it works, but they all do agree on the fact that it works. And so I think that's the current debate, and I think that's about as far as it's gotten.
So I mean, it's a different experiment, but it's along the same sort of lines. It's that experiment with what was it? The three wooden boards with a hole and the torch shining through. If it was flat Earth, the torch should shine through all of them, but lo and behold, it wouldn't unless you. Yeah, you know the one I mean. I think it was two boards actually.
It was very interesting.
Presumably, Wardy, what you're talking about is that idiot Bev.
Yeah.
I think. Yes.
Yeah, so I've had this discussion with Bev and with Anthony Riley as well, who hangs around over there. Riley's an interesting case because his current argument seems to be around gravity and so Newton said, gravity was a force, and Einstein said, no, gravity isn't a force. What it actually is the result of essentially the effect of curvature, space-time curvature, effectively. Obviously, he's going to quote a more accurate, quote mine, essentially, from Einstein's own words, and we can sit there and dispute or argue that definition all we like. And the point that I've put to him is that they're both saying the same thing, and his argument is no, because one's saying it's a force and one's saying it isn't. And I said, well, they're both saying the same thing because mathematically, when you compare their calculations on Earth at small scales, they correlate. It's only when you get to the galactic level and you're doing the gravitational math at the scale of an entire galaxy that they start to differentiate in a substantial manner. And this is something that flat earthers can't seem to get their head around, because what they come back to is, well, yeah, any numbers will fit and you can put any numbers into any equation and make it look right. And then when I say, well, okay, then come up with a different version of F equals ma and tell me how it works and show me your flat earth model and make it have the same explanatory power that the globe earth model has with everything that it covers. And I think Professor Dave put this most elegantly when he responded to the Globebusters stuff and Bob and that, when he basically said, look, you guys have got an explanation for sunrises and sunset, and you've got a different explanation for the seasons, and the two things don't agree with one another. And that's just one set of flat earthers not agreeing with themselves.
Yep.
But that's,
and when you start
that's very
to then
typical,
introduce,
isn't it? Very typical.
Yeah.
That they come up with some wobbly explanation for one thing, whatever it is, perhaps the lack of change of angular resolution of the sun during the day, but then whatever it is they've come up with doesn't agree and won't fit with something else that they put forward. It doesn't hang together. It's not a consistent model.
And so the thing with me, and the reason why I've kind of hung around for so long and why I'm still, here supporting you guys that are actually actively sort of debating this stuff, is that, to my mind, it's lunacy. They can see that it's lunacy, and when you point out the lunacy, they go into like, I don't know, it's like a mental block mode where they just can't accept anything you're saying. And I don't know if it's terminology or if it's something about like they just can't accept the way that we think, or if it's that there's something genuinely to it. And this aspect of like people just not accepting basic things like the internal angles on a triangle is just fascinating to me. It's like, how does somebody get this messed up?
It's because
How do
they
you get
don't
it so
understand.
wrong?
The likes of Anthony Riley, it doesn't take you very long to realise he has got no technical understanding whatsoever. None at all. He has got no grasp of physics, of geometry, of anything scientific or technical at all. He thinks he's some sort of wordsmith, but he gets that wrong as well. He is severely uneducated.
I mean, I don't
he's
think
an
that's even...
absolute poster boy for Dunning-Kruger.
Yes, he is.
The thing is, I don't even think this is even limited to Anthony Riley. I think it's
no.
Flat Earthers in general have this understanding of the way the world works, and no matter what we say, they're not going to accept it any differently, because in their mind, it's proof enough that the horizon looks flat, and that basically debunks anything you can say. And
it looks flat and feels motionless. Therefore, the Earth is flat and motionless.
The thing is that's question one, isn't it? You become aware. You appear on the Earth. Right, what shape is it? Well, it looks flat. Okay, good start. How can we test that? Then you've got to move on. They're not really getting beyond that.
No, it's not about the testing. It's about asking, why does it look flat? And then once you ask that question, you figure out eventually that it might not be flat. But what I was about to say earlier is this is more or less a form of arrogance that, in my experience, a 5-year-old would probably have. So I don't really want to put down flat earthers to that point, because it's not flat earthers, it's just people who are arrogant. You tell them one thing, let's say a 5-year-old, you're not allowed to eat dinner, go to bed. And the 5-year-old will kick off because it doesn't understand and it wants something. It's like, okay, what do you want? It's like, well, I want something. What do you want? Well, something.
I disagree with that. I think that's an overgeneralization. I think there are two types of flat earthers in my experience. There's the type that genuinely believes it, and it's mainly based on they just don't understand the globe model, or they have preconceptions or aspects of it that have just been completely misunderstood in their view. And then there's the Poe type that obviously know the Earth is round, but just want to promote some agenda. The quantum erasers and Nathan Oakleys of the world. And I think that it depends which type of flat earther that you're debating as to what approach you should be taking. And I think Catz and Sensible here have figured out that they know that how to deal with a particular type of flat earther, the Poe type, and they're handling that by basically just repeatedly calling them out on their bullshit, because this type of flat earther knows it's bullshit. They just won't admit it.
One of the things that I've noticed in a lot of the debates, and I've watched a variety of different people debating, including Sensible Dave, which is very good, and I noticed that these people, these flat earthers, tend to glob on to what you see is what you get kind of attitude. Like if they can't see it, then it doesn't exist. And until you get these guys to understand that you can measure things without your eyes, without your ears, and that kind of thing, then they'll start understanding where we're coming from when we talk about math and these big formulas and these things they don't understand. So I think some of these guys need to be approached that way, and you can basically turn them around once they start agreeing and understanding that, yes, you can measure something without a ruler or without your eyes.
Contradiction in what they're saying. So they'll say that you can't believe or you can't trust anything you can't see with your own eyes, and yet they accept chemistry, or they'll accept atoms. And it's like,
not necessarily. There are some that don't believe in atoms.
Correct. Sure. Yeah.
I find the funniest one. You present a piece of evidence. Say, did you do this evidence yourself? So no. And they say, well, we measured across this lake. How long's that lake? Sorry, it's 50 miles. How do you know? Well, someone measured it. Yeah, but not fucking you. Sorry, Mr. Sorry, Mr.
Yes,
S. I didn't think.
But to be fair, even that is a bad argument to present to a flat earther, because, how do we know that relativity is considered to be reasonable fact today? We didn't go and figure that out for ourselves, did we? We didn't do the math. We didn't actually observe, gravitational lensing of a star behind the sun. We haven't been to the sun ourselves.
Well, technically, we have seen these things, especially with the relativity. You notice that when you're in a car, for definite. You notice that when you're traveling and you're moving different compared to the Earth. So
there's an amount of, you've got to meet the person that you're debating on some sort of halfway house. You've got to have some level term that, you both start from somewhere. You've got to say, okay, what do we both agree on? Where's the junction point where we're disagreeing, and why is that junction point there?
For most flat
sorry. I think there's also another thing that plays a role, because I also think there are quite a lot of flirts that are scared of being insignificant. Because and if you go think about how big the universe is and think how small we are, it is scary. It is fucking scary. Sorry,
but why scared? People talk about, I don't want to die and I won't be here. Well, you weren't here for 14 billion years before you were born. You didn't seem to miss that.
Yeah,
that's true, but that's true, but it's I don't know. It's big.
Instead of having the
big and unknown, and it's wonderful, and I think we need to explore as much of it as we can. But I can understand that people are scared of it.
The fear, I know where the fear comes from. It comes from, instead of having the 14 billion years of nothing, we have something, and we expect to experience nothing eventually. And that thought of experiencing emptiness scares a lot of people.
Yeah. But like I said, we were in that position before we were born, and we don't know anything about it. We didn't miss it. Time didn't exist for us, and it won't do when we've gone.
But that makes sense to us. But these people who are afraid, they don't see the before. All they're seeing is now and future.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of them, especially the the religious flat earthers, they have learned that the world was created for them and that they did matter. So I think that's part of it also.
Definitely.
There's also the NASA lies, science lies, Neil deGrasse Tyson lies. There's also these lies, but yet they can't prove that they've actually lied. They just make the assumption based on Nathan Oakley's talks or the 200 proofs, that sort of thing.
Yeah, but I think part of it is also being scared of admitting that they are right and that what they've learned from the Bible is just old stories.
This is it, because it's not just, oh, I'm wrong about taking the Bible as literal with regard to the shape of the earth. I know it's misrepresenting it, but if the Bible says the earth is flat, you're not just saying that's wrong. You're if you question something like that, then the whole lot starts crumbling, and that's what they base their life around. If you base your life around an entire religion, and then that's shown to be perhaps well-meaning, but still stories, that that's their entire foundation.
The Bible doesn't actually say the earth is flat.
No, I know, but some people have taken aspects of it and taken that to read as that. I mean, let's face it, you can take bits of the Bible to mean anything, really.
The Bible does mention a cover over the earth where all the stars are. It does mention that, but it doesn't say the earth is flat. So it's saying what we're looking at is just a cover, like a firmament of sorts. And then these religious and flat earthers have gone, oh, that must mean we're in a dish, we're in a little bowl, we're an experiment.
But if you want to break down the religious ones that do that, then also in the Bible it says Earth's got four corners. I don't know about you. I don't know of any circles that have got four corners.
Right. So here's the thing, right?
Claim that it is a disc.
So here's the thing. I grew up in a very religious community. I went to Church of England schools, and in my teen years, I worked for the church's youth club and managed their IT systems and things for them. But as a result, I had to take what they called Alpha Course back then. I don't know what they call it these days, which is basically Bible study group, effectively, where you sit down with the church members and you make sure that you have an understanding of what it is they believe and why they believe it. And if you talk to anybody who's actually seriously religious, such as a pastor or somebody who kind of works in the church, you'll get lots of different views about how the Bible should be interpreted.
Yeah.
And very few serious religious types will turn around and say to you that the whole of the Bible should be taken literally as it's written, because there are things like, for example, differentiation in the way that language is used over time and the way that languages evolve, which matter. And we see that today, where we have like multiple different definitions of the same word, because language has evolved to the point where we use words in more than one context now. And this is important because it comes back to arguments like it's just a theory, right? and so when we're talking about what the Bible says, when the Bible was being written, all the excerpts that make up that particular portion that says, we're talking about the four corners, were they actually talking about the four corners of the earth, or were they talking about the four corners of the known portion of the earth for that group of people at that point in time? Because you have to bear in mind that the whole earth wasn't explored back then, so they had no idea what the shape was beyond what by sticking sticks in the ground. So they had some of shape, and they had some belief that the earth was round. Even back then, there was no real definitive proof, so to speak. So people could speculate and make up ideas based on what their preconceptions were. And this is where it kind of ended up in separation from church and state, because it was believed that the church was misguiding people, certainly from a scientific point of view, and making claims that weren't actually deemed to be true. And this is reflected actually in the Bible itself. I commonly joke with people that, for everything that happens to you in every portion of your kind of daily life, for every minute of your day, you can probably find some quote in the Bible that represents that particular minute of your life. But you will also find some opposite quote that tells you, you know, the complete opposite. And the argument that I often get thrown at me is, well, the New Testament was built just like science does as a revision of the Old Testament, so it will often disagree with the Old Testament. And then my argument back to them is, but it's the Word of God, right? So it's infallible. The entirety of it is completely infallible.
Well, I also like when people turn around and say, but that was the Old Testament and that no longer counts. The Ten Commandments are in the Old Testament. Yeah. I've had a super chat from Crafty Keeler for €2 saying, worst crime of Flat Earth is to reduce trust to blind faith. Actually, guys, listen, I think now at whatever it is, 3.5 hours, I think I'm going to have to wind it up now because there's no way I'm going to do a Riley on stream.
Live stream on a live stream. Come on.
Well, it is 11 o'clock at night, so that's fair enough.
One quick thing before we go. Have any of you heard of Richard Carrier?
No.
Never
He does studies on ancient texts, and he did a big thing on the Bible. It's very interesting if you check him out. He did this huge video on it, and it was like amazing what he found out, and how it dealt with what we were just talking about.
Oh, I've just seen a chat from Ugly German Truths. Apparently, the shills are on. It says in 28 minutes.
Yes, we are.
Oh, right. So what was that? 11:30 is starting, Barman.
11:30, yeah.
So who's on? Shill the shills for us, Barman.
We've got Radical on tonight as our guest, and obviously it's myself, Dick Dawson, Amy Hogan, Jutmuck the Drunk Monkey, Crafty Keeler, Dead Kennedy in Space, Logical Troglodyte, Mrs. Troglodyte. They've not been about recently. I think they were on last week though. I missed that one.
Okay.
Gutted. Oh my god, my brain's gone blank. Blue Earth Thing joins us on Saturday night. Same with Schrodinger's Cat likes to join us as well. Colon's been helping out, doing a load of stuff for us. He's now become like an official shill member. He's doing all our research and things like that. I'm sure I've forgotten someone. I'm absolutely Bull,
well, sounds
yeah.
pretty good. Pretty good shout out to me, Barman. And yeah, if you haven't seen the shills, they're a great bunch. Some good fun to be had on that stream, I'm sure.
Oh, it's a right laugh. It's a right laugh. Good fun, good videos. If you're letting me shill, can I shill one other thing, please, Mr.
Yes,
S?
you can. But Colon, if there's any chance, can you grab a link to the shills and drop it in the chat? Unless you've got one handy, Barman. But yeah,
I might have one. I was just going to shill myself because I'm 37 subs away from 1,000.
Oh wow!
So
yeah,
that's getting there.
You certainly are, chap.
One from me.
I think we just got Pipe Parrot over a landmark just the other day. I've forgotten.
Yes.
What the landmark was.
It was. Well, it was 1,000, wasn't it?
Was
it
it
was the other
1,000? I
week.
can't remember. We got her over it just as the stream finished, I believe. Which was very
yes,
nice.
I think that was the 1,000 mark. She is now. Oh, it might have been 1,500. She's now at 1.5.
Yeah, it must have been. Yeah.
1.5. So I'm sure she's been 1,000 for a couple of weeks now.
Yeah.
It must have been the 1,500 then. Yeah.
And I see.
I have a job keeping up.
There's several links going into chat for the shills and for you, Barman. Well deserved.
Oh, thank you, everyone.
Cool.
Right. Okay. I think as we sort of come to a breathing point, I think I will have to end this now. Honestly, guys, it's been fabulous. I've really enjoyed the stream with Cats, and I've really enjoyed this after show, but still part of the same show. If you know what I mean.
Cool.
It's been great fun and great to meet some new people. Like, well, we've got you here, Tawardi. There was who else? Chief Mojo, and I've forgotten who else there was. There was someone else, wasn't there? Came in the chat, I think. But yeah, it's good to meet you guys. Please, all make yourself at home. You can always grab a chair. There's always cheese and biscuits on the go. So
Nice
help
one.
yourselves.
I need your logo for the space guy.
Yes, Stephen, I did see that. Are you talking about the logo? The logo man that's in the bottom corner. Is that what you're talking about? Okay, I can give you that. I can give you a high...
Wait. Hold
or
everything.
whatever one you want. It doesn't have to be that one if you don't want it, but whatever
Hold
one you
everything.
want, put it on the soup.
We have to ask the important question, right? Where's the cheese and biscuits again?
Over on the side, just over there.
Yeah, on the table, dude.
Yeah.
Just look.
Yeah.
See you guys.
And it's
That's the only
always
reason why I came.
there's hot and cold running waitresses to show you to the cheese board. Okay.
I do hope the cheese is
Cold
not
waitresses.
Hot and cold running
Are they
waitresses.
like
Yeah.
dressed ones and naked ones?
Nah,
Do we
I think
realise-
we need to leave that for your stream, Barman. And I'll just give a quick hello and shout out to Blue Marble Science. Excellent creator, just popped in.
Yes.
You're a little
Hello,
late.
Blue.
You're like the great prophet Zarquon. Oh, how are we for time?
Time.
I do hope that the cheese is authentic and from the moon.
Blue Marble Science is another channel, very, very worth checking out. Blue, you are a mod on the channel. Please put a link to your channel. Shill yourself so people can have a look at you as well. Guys, I'm going to wrap it up. So what I'll do in just a second is I'll drop you all back in the live waiting room where Colon is still there waiting before I guess he's going to disappear off if he's helping with the shills. If you want to chat for a little while, and I'll pop in as well.
Right. Well, I'll move myself. Thank you all very much. I'll see you in a bit.
Okay. Cheers, Chief. And I'll start dropping you all over. Thank you all. Good night
Thank
to
you.
I'll chuck you over
Have
at
a good
random. I'll chuck you over at random tonight. Thank you. And
Good night.
they're all disappearing one by one. There we go on, keep it
Good
going,
night.
Barman. Keep it going, Barman. Keep it going. I see you, Wardy. Barman, I'm going to jump out and just leave you on the live stream by yourself. Good night, Barman. Enjoy the shills. Good luck. So, thank you, everybody. I've had a brilliant time. And let's just have a final check. So I was on 5284 a couple hours before we started. And I'm now on 5358. Absolutely fabulous. So loads of new subscribers, which is brilliant. Firstly, it rubs Riley's nose in it, which is always a worthy cause. And secondly, you've made me feel very pleased, and I appreciate it. And the more subs I get, the more I feel, what's the word? Not obligated, but encouraged and willing and empowered, and I don't know, made excited and want to carry on doing what I've been doing. And I hope I can do that and can produce more stuff you enjoy. So I'm going to start waffling if I'm not careful, and I don't want to do that. So I shall finish by saying finally, thank you, good night to all my subscribers, my members, my patrons, everyone who's come in here, everyone who joined me on chat. Thank you very much. Take care, stay sensible, and good night.